we have server, and we have connection. Okie dokie. Let's just check then, last minute. Navis can't connect yet because he's travelling. Shaun, you haven't joined the game yet?
Connecting now, it's just loading.
Okie dokie. And everybody who wants to are connected to and can actually hear Sirenscape. Cool. Alright then, well, whilst Mr. Shaun is connecting and loading in, I will stop the ship rumble and I will momentarily stop our great adventure music. And we will say welcome to Season 3 in the best way possible by playing our new intro video. So let's roll with it. See you in a couple of seconds, folks. Hello everybody, I am MJ the GM, otherwise known as Matt, and I will be your GM for this evening, and welcome to the further adventures of the crew of the USS Navis. We are now at the start of Season 3. Paramount saw fit to renew our show. So here we are again. New intro, and everybody back. And of course, it wouldn't be the same without suitable substrate joining in as well. Live long and prosper to you too, my dude.
Don't worry, for our new season, we're going to have a Neelix-like side character. Is going to be the new breakout character for the show.
Or, you know, we'll just bring Jerry Ryan in.
No, that was literally the quote for the series when they introduced Neelix. In the two, back when they had ye olden guides and pre-done reviews. I thought I'd try it here, see if everyone got the reference. Fell a little bit flat.
Never mind, he tried. But what would Edwards do then? Love the intro. Yeah, well, we've got to thank Gareth or Dr. Bertram for once again proving that he has a heck of a lot more patience with Star Trek Online's demo record system than the rest of us do.
Just one observation on watching it that time, Gareth.
Yep.
The fight is a little clunky.
Yeah, it's really difficult to get a...
Are you surprised? He watches Lost Row. Of course he has patience.
Well, by the way, guys, just to let you know, Webby has offered to do Season 4's intro. He said not only would it be entirely combat-based, but it would completely knock the socks out of all three of my intros altogether.
We'll also do an outro as well.
Well, with you bigging it up in that way, how could it possibly fail? Expectations are high now, Webby.
Hey, I've done one introduction. It's not half as good as what Gareth did. So
just record yourself singing "Fly Me to the Moon" and drag as the outro.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's there's just been me singing, going oh.
Like that.
There's just a picture at the end of just me looking shocked, rather than the horse. Not the horse. The oh god, what race are they?
I don't know, but wasn't that the one where it's just sort of like a hologram disguise? What turned out to be an omnipotent baby.
Yes, it is the Vorta. Cheers, Navis.
Well, crikey.
Navis is our silent protagonist for the evening.
Yes, he will be communicating mostly via Discord until we actually get him here in
I also point out that Gareth calls himself Dr. Bertram when his actual title should be Commander Bertram.
There's actually a reason for that. It turns out the Paramount would only actually license a certain number of the uses of the word commander in the intro. So, I had to take shortcuts where I could. But
we are, after all, only a small channel and therefore with a limited budget.
Yeah. Next time Jonathan gets a promotion, he has to be skip strict captain.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Casper lettering credits.
That's just his own invoice to Matt.
Oh dear. 90% off the budget is on Latude. Well, it wasn't before, but now it's going to have to be. Okay, we're going to spend most of our time in Transporter Room 1.
Well, for that kind of likeness, of course we have to
Well, yes,
give
indeed.
Patrick Stewart a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
Sir Patrick.
Yeah, Sir Patrick charges a lot to dress up in the prosthetics for Clawt all day.
And heavens knows, that's a lot of prosthetics.
Plays like Webby's got the crush on him.
Crush, because he's a rockin'. Okay. Moving on, swiftly, before I bury myself in comedy hell.
Putting his head in the sand.
Right, yes, quickly, before I lose the thread of what we're meant to be doing, which is, yes, we're on Season 3 at last, so, here we are. We have, unfortunately, lost one of our players. That would be our Commander Natala player, John. He's decided to take a step back, which is fine. So we will see what happens to Natala. Pretty much next time we'll have a confab and decide the fate of this character. She can either be pushed back and made a supporting character, which at this point would seem a bit of a... I'm not sure. Not exactly an indignity, but, Commander Natala's been with us this far. It'd be a shame to give her a small send-off, so we'll see how we do. However, we are for the day today, so let's get on with what we're here to do, which is, of course, science! We've got some science to do. So if we... this actually does mean that the scientific pursuit that Natala was engaging in will have to be... Well, it'll essentially be just brushed off to one side. Maybe used as the justification for why Natala's no longer on the bridge of the Navis. We shall see. However, we still have... I do believe a certain medical doctor's experiments with trying to create organically grown medical grafts using mostly organic grown materials. So let's start there.
You mean use people?
Ironically, in my med lab, Soylent Green wasn't people, it was greens.
Actual greens.
Yep.
Speaking of, we were using biotechnology as the current path of investigation after we'd gone through botany, biology, and xenobiology. So, this one's gotta work, right? So...
Bertram learns at the colony, no expectations, just progress and learning.
Indeed. As such, let's go on with actual progress.
Yay.
So... Bertram can, of course, commandeer whoever he thinks is appropriate for...
I think at this point, Feasel and Eric are in it for the long haul.
They don't get a choice anymore. Jean's getting still mighty suspicious.
Jean, Eric, yes, Jenny's hubby, starting to wonder why she's spending so much time away from the house. Or their quarters, rather, I should say.
Me and Shaun were joking last night about that they're both triplets and they're both intermarried. So you've got 3 sets of Erics. because we've got like the quintuple at Bravos, so we got to have more Erics.
This is just like an early cloning project from the doctors. From the doctor even. It's like growing the perfect experiment. Not experiment.
Doctor's been far too busy on his actual science. He doesn't have. If he had the time to do cloning experiments, he'd just dedicate that to more of template scaffold plants experiments.
As Navis said, it's LeChu's hobby.
Well,
releasing people from the buffers. New copies each time.
Since we are using biotechnology as the current path, it makes sense that that would be Bertram's focus. Eric has no such focus, so it's basically gonna be reason and science as before, with Feazal actually able to use genetics as a focus, so we can let Feazal assist in that regard. So, let's have... Ooh, I don't know. Jan, who are you? Who did I get you to be last time? Feazal or Eric?
I think it was Feazal.
Do you want to stay as Feazal, or do you want to switch to Eric?
Feazal's fine.
Oh, that's
Okay.
feasible.
Okay, there's the door. You can leave
Oh,
anytime you like.
Matt, just to let you know.
Yeah.
I think as we agreed, once this project's done, step 2 will be forcibly removing the sense of humour from Edwards and replacing it with an actual one.
I missed the fine print in that agreement last time. I'll have to reread the contract. Alrighty.
But I feel it's for the good of the Federation.
It's for the greater good.
The greater good.
The first officer not only gave the go-ahead, but I believe he made it an order.
Alright then, so Jan's okay with Feazal. Webby or Shaun, do you want to go as Eric? I feel maybe Shaun should. He was the one who invented Jenny. Or named Jenny in the first place.
Jenny, Eric.
So for both of them, it's probably going to be reason and science, but Ensign Feazal gets the focus of genetics. Jenny gets 1 success. Well done, Jenny. And 1 success as well for Ensign Feazal. So you have taught your students well, Doctor.
Excellent. I'm going to throw in a determination as well for
You usually do.
Researchers Foundation. So, was it
Kept
science or
threatening them
medicine?
with mod
Did you say?
structures.
In your regard, medicine, because you're using biotech.
Okay.
You are approaching this from a medical standpoint, so 4 successes, criminy day. 6 in total. You're getting close to something. The experiments are going well. The simulations show no degradation in the scaffolding. If you can just finish putting in the last bits of genetic coding to actually grow these things properly outside of the simulation, because a simulation can only show you so much. You know full well that sometimes the random chaos of biological life forms, of living cells and the like, can sometimes throw in that tiny bit of chaos into the mix, but so far you're very close to something. You can practically taste it. So, Ensign...
I mean, experiment.
Ensigns Feazal and Eric are feeling Dr. Bertram's enthusiasm very, very palpably and thinking, "Ooh, well, we're going to be names on a report." Don't go there, you dirty sods.
No wonder our husband's jealous.
They can almost.
As
They
soon
can
as you
almost-
said it, like,
At which
We'll
point
know if it's
Ensign
a
Jean
successful-
Eric comes storming in and goes, "I knew it!"
We'll know when it's successful. We'll hear it all the way on the bridge.
Just hear the conga line coming out of sickbay. Which is, I know, not what you were actually going for, but that's where I was going, being my innocent, naive little brain.
lies.
Anyway.
Lies and deceit. Deceitful are your lies.
Lies, supposition, conjecture. In any case, yes, very close now to something, Dr. Bertram. Very, very close indeed. So... Indeed. Back when Starfleet officers couldn't keep it in their pants.
Yeah, Kirk's day, Starfleet was more like the.
Well, there is that
the
lawsuit
reason to-
currently being put together against Kirk, as put in the Discord channel.
So I did wonder if that was what that was about. In any case, nice. Anything else anybody else wants to do before we get properly started? Okay. So tonight's episode 31, takes place. Let me see. 2 weeks after our previous adventure, which was what happened in the Shackleton Expanse on the planet Orgoon 3, where you put in place your suggestion for how to rescue the Lumerians, the natives of Orgoon 3, as their planet is starting to disintegrate, and the civilian scientists wanted to move them to the next planet. So that rescue operation is still ongoing, but putting them over into temporary accommodation, as it were, sheltered out of the way of the life forms who the society that currently calls the second M-class planet in the Orgoon system home. So you have had 2 weeks since that mission. So with nothing else to comment on, let me move on to Captain's Log. Stardate 50640.9. The Navis is currently moored at Deep Space 3 for taking on supplies. However, we have received orders to bring on board Zondaran representative Zeta so that we can escort her to a summit at Janus 6 regarding her people's potential admission to the Federation. At the same time, Admiral Hardin will be beaming in on order to conduct performance drills during our voyage. Having left the reception dinner early in order to get the Navis ready to depart, I am preparing to welcome the Admiral and the representative on board as they are being accompanied by my senior staff. So, before I move us to the transporter bay, let's set everybody ready. Change the ambience. Captain Ducasse walks into the transporter room where your transporter chief, Lieutenant LeChude, is awaiting the captain's order. Captain Ducasse comes in, and Lieutenant LeChude gives her the nod. At the side, report ready to transport, Captain. Very well, Lieutenant. Energize. Which point? Where are we coming from? The ship? We beaming to the ship. Everybody appears on the transporter pad. Admiral Hardin looks around, walks down off the pad, and immediately pulls out a data pad of his own, starts looking around the transporter room and starts making notes with a very critical air. Representative Zeta is looking around, looks down at her hands, regards each of you, looks around a bit uncertainly. Representative? Just wait till he leaves the port cell. Well, quite. Representative, are you alright? Says the captain. To which the representative replies, yes. I'm sorry, I'm just getting used to this transporter technology of yours. My people don't yet have anything as close to this sophistication. It's something you get used to, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Admiral Hardin has gone around the captain and is tapping some of the controls on the transporter panel. You appear to have the targeting scanners out by .03, Lieutenant, he says to LeChude. At which point LeChude goes, but I do? I mean, they are? I mean, sorry, Admiral. I'll get that fixed. The Admiral just kind of tuts to himself, shakes his head and starts putting in more notes on his pad. At which point the captain just kind of clears her throat very, very loudly. Perhaps, Admiral, you would like to be escorted to your quarters aboard the ship? That won't be necessary, Captain, replies the Admiral. I'll be beginning my inspection immediately. I'll be on the bridge. Perhaps we could escort you. No, I know how to find my way. Thank you. He looks at the door, starts running his finger, looking for dust. The captain, in the meanwhile, walks forward. Number 1, perhaps you could escort Representative Zeta to her guest quarters aboard the ship.
Of course, Captain.
At which point, Captain Ducasse goes, no, Lieutenant, I was talking to the first officer. Alex, Edwards realizes that the captain was talking to you. Commander, is something wrong?
Yes, Captain. So,
I'm going to look down at my hands at this point.
oh,
Yes. Andrews looks down at her hands and is then rather alarmed to see that the bionic that she's used to seeing is not there anymore. In fact, these look like somebody else's hands. Gareth. Gareth. Dr. Bertram is having a bit of an interesting time of things, as he unconsciously realizes that he's just tugged down his skirt. And is now hearing this strange, it's almost like it's not exactly a whispering, but there's definitely a sense of other things and other people going on.
I'm going to vaguely argue, hearing someone was connected up to the ship. This is going to be incredibly disorientating for Edwards to the point of he would be physically showing things.
It's not it's a connection so that it's providing a feedback. It's not a
He
direct
also has
connection.
metal bits that aren't there anymore. It'd be a new
Oh yeah,
thing
you're going to be
that
getting you're getting absolutely horrendous phantom syndrome.
Exactly. So I would say, given his lack of experience and the fact that this is completely right, I would say he'd probably be showing physical. I mean, like, actually not looking great, but maybe literally just maybe a bit dizzy, or just as the realization hits of this is very wrong.
Yeah. I'm Captain. I think we have a transporter incident, and I suggest that you recall Admiral Hardin back to sickbay immediately.
Admiral Hardin walks over and is actually now listening to what's going on, still with his pad out.
So Edwards, in quotation marks, would probably reach out to, I'm going to say, Keval in quotation marks, just to basically like lean on their shoulder.
Matt.
Admiral Hardin looks at this and goes, Somebody obviously hasn't been for her recent medical checkup. That's going in my notes.
Have I recognised what body I'm in?
Well, the kind of the white lab coat thing kind of gives it away.
So,
yeah.
Captain, I'm not the commander.
What? At which point, when sorry to interrupt you there, Gareth, but as soon as Edwards says that, the Admiral looks down and goes, "Oh, good. Trying to prank the Admiral," and he puts in more. Ducasse is the captain's looking rather alarmed at all of this.
Admiral, we are not joking on this. There has been a transporter malfunction because we are not currently in the correct bodies. I can assure you that I should be the first officer, and I should be female rather than Lieutenant Edwards. It would appear to be, and I think Lieutenant Edwards is going to be having a horrendous time being me.
I raise the shields.
Well, you send the mental command, but then you realise you can actually see out of your right eye extremely well. As it turns out that, yeah.
And is he more horny than normal?
No,
Because Nobulans are just... Oh no, they're family orientated, aren't they?
they're family orientated. They're not, they're not Klingons in that regard. But yeah. Keval realizes that he's suddenly not feeling the changes in air pressure he's used to feeling with his antennae, and he's not getting like that kind of, not exactly pixelated, but that technical readout kind of feel to what he's seeing out of his right eye. Nova would be in full mental shutdown panic attack, gibbering hello again, which means at this point that... unfortunately, the Andorian goes down onto his haunches and starts rocking back and forth, hugging his knees.
Just to let you know, that was what Bertram would have been immediately looking for, because realising he's in Nova's body, and that's what the whispering is. He'd be afraid that someone has basically, he's afraid that Nova will suddenly be experiencing the equivalent of basically the sort of psychological issue as someone literally just lost, say, all sense of touch.
Yeah.
Well, I think touch more, because blinded is focused in one place, but touch is basically universal to a body, and that can really have a psychological thing.
Yeah, Vibers is also going to have similar things as well, because it's the symbiote's no longer there.
I actually had a realization from what Jan just said. Edwards doesn't know how to control that.
Yeah.
He's wide up to the ship and his mind's going everywhere. He's like that. I could potentially be turning on systems.
No, you can't, because it's only for shields.
It's just
ignore that system. Then. That's just me playing. That's the red alert suddenly goes on.
The whole thing for the cybernetic connection is purely for a subconscious thought of Ray's shields, and it's connected to both Keval and.
So it's a defensive measure.
Edwards.
So when
Yes.
feel threatened.
Okay.
You mean like a situation like he's out of his body?
Nova turns to Vibers and says, Doctor, we need to be immediately transported to sickbay. Some of us are going to start experiencing severe psychological and physical issues.
I don't think transporter is. No, I don't think the transporter is the correct course of action, Doctor.
I'm sorry, you need to speak more clearly. I'm currently hearing a lot of voices in my head.
Thank you. Yes.
Very
so.
timidly,
Hey, here's Davis.
Viper responds back with, what now?
That's an awful good point, actually, because Natala is now having so everyone who's looking at Vibers is now seeing the body of Vibers swaying a little bit as they're obviously going through something as well. Meanwhile, Admiral Hardin just basically starts tutting again and putting in more notes. Oh dear, and just walks off.
I think we should get everyone who went through that transporter malfunction into sickbay as a matter of priority, including the Admiral.
Yeah, I completely agree. Medical grounds for this.
Yeah.
The captain is like in full-blown, not full-blown panic, but you can see that the captain's trying to maintain her composure. Very well, Doctor. I mean, Lieutenant. I mean, just everybody get to sickbay. Representative, if you can accompany me. Lieutenant, she looks at Lloyd. Look at what's going on right the hell now. Yeah, Captain. Lloyd seems just as perplexed as everybody else. Heaven's sake. Security, please advise Admiral Hardin, wherever he is, that he needs to come to sickbay immediately. Oh, God.
Suggest this is kept quiet for now, Captain. We may have to all act out each other's parts at some point if we're unable to resolve this quickly.
Indeed. You realize who Admiral Hardin is, yes? He's known as...
trying to guide Fazanan out towards sickbay as he's going through a severe panic attack.
Yes, so Bertram in Nova's body is trying to help Nova in Keval's body.
That is not going to help her whatsoever.
Yes, because, Nova not only now has to... Sorry, I talked over you there. But, it's very much a case of Nova hasn't got the usual perception, has got a different perception, what with the antennae sensing air pressure changes, and, you know, she's got blue skin as well.
He's also got,
All very weird.
I'm also going to ask someone to help whoever's in Viber's body to sickbay, because we have no idea how the symbiont might react to a sudden complete change of personality in the host.
And I will help Edwards.
Oh.
Right, let me just move folks around then in sickbay. What was that? Sorry, Navis?
This next advantage is, I think I might be gaining science officer memories.
But you've lost the connection to the symbiote in a minute.
Yeah, I have. I don't even know how most engines work at the moment.
And I'm also going to go to Vibers and Bertram's body. He goes, and while you're in sickbay waiting to be seen, you need to plan next week's Moss lecture out.
Yes.
Question to Webby: how strong is the actual arm? Because how much would? What's the chance of? Okay, so it's got, so no extra controls needed in order to not break stuff then.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make
you will probably break stuff because you haven't got the tactile sense, but you're not used to tactile sense.
Mm-hmm.
You do have a nagging feeling that someone's watching you through your own eyes, though.
No, that's gonna be weird enough as it is. It's
Because
already
your
having.
eyes are recording.
Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah.
So
It's just
eventually,
the
folks. Sorry.
No, you first.
Eventually, folks do manage to make their way to sickbay. The Admiral begrudgingly came along, but it just kind of still stood off to one side with that data pad. Vibers in Bertram's body, and everybody else are currently being looked at by. And
it would be the opposite way around, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Vibers is currently in Bertram's body.
Yeah, so it would be Nova going round doing the medical examination.
Yeah. Whoever's in Viber's body, as we're putting people on the beds, because I want to diagnose.
Nope.
I didn't think I was being that offensive.
Who did we just lose?
I think it's
Alex?
Yeah, Alex.
Oh, Alex. There we go.
Oh, he's gone completely offline, so soon he's lost.
He's completely lost
I
his
want to
token,
try and work out who needs diagnosis and treatment more urgently. Nova in Vazanan or Natala in Vibers, because obviously Nova's having a full-on psychological breakdown.
But yeah,
but
it's one.
Vibers also has potentially a freaking out symbiont, or rather Natala does.
I'd say the physical's probably more
Yeah,
problematic.
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'd probably say
is
that
Natala
Bertram's.
having any sort of like pain or nausea or any symptoms
Now, when you say Natala
in Viber's body?
in Viper's body, okay. No pain exactly, no, but Natala's having to cope with the fact that she's now getting a rush of memories that definitely aren't hers, including Kano Vibers' memories.
Right. Okay. First thing I can do, I'm going to sedate Nova in Fazanan's body, because I feel that if he's put out, then we can put off these psychological issues, because that's mainly what it's going to be. Whereas I think there's going to be a more urgent thing, because even if the symbiont doesn't physically react in any way, we have no idea if this thing will cause an issue when the whole lot of memories is get stumped into once in Natala's mind in the wrong physical brain. Because from what I vaguely remember, there's generally a lot of sort of care that sort of thing doesn't happen when Chill Symbiont's put in a new host.
Now, the advantage you have here is that technically, organically speaking, it is the same brain. It's just somehow somebody else's thought patterns and brainwaves have been switched.
Didn't want to hook up everyone.
God, Edwards needs to work out more. Thanks for that.
So I put sorry Shaun, sorry Shaun, you're just being put out, and sorry Keval, I've just injected your body with a sedative.
Give me just a
I
second.
hope you remember.
Go on.
You remember my fast metabolism.
Oh yeah. Also, the bit that occasionally has blackouts.
Do I need to roll anything to make sure that this doesn't go wrong?
Just keep jabbing yourself in the leg with a knife.
Matt?
Nah.
Sorry about that.
sorry.
I had to
Matt
quickly
seems-
see to a cat. Or have a
I just
cat
quickly
scene.
look at the stream. Goes, is he frozen? Oh my god! Someone's beamed him out.
So, all this is going on. Admiral Hardin is there basically going, well, I suppose if I were admiring your commitment to pranking the Admiral, it would be a high score. Otherwise, all a bit in poor timing and taste, really, isn't it?
It's fine. As my authority's chief medical officer, I'm declaring you're a changeling. We need to arrest the person and get them out.
Oh my god!
You don't tell me you're saying that.
Bertram, if you say
No.
that, Bertram over in the says, please refrain from
I've been-
such comments while inhabiting my body. I may
I've been
gain your
said that.
discipline.
It does come out as a whisper because he has a hell of a lot of confidence and expected.
Yeah, so it's kind of a mutter under the breath kind of thing. Okay, I gotcha. Yes, very much a lack of not as much confidence anymore, yes. The captain, meanwhile, who, seems fine, is just there, just going, Admirals, seriously, this is obviously extenuating circumstances. Maybe we should call off the tests? Which point the Admiral just looks at it with a quizzical eyebrow. Indeed. Not being ready for a scheduled staff training or performance
Captain,
drills.
shall we just proceed with the main part of this mission and then we can deal with this en route? Because obviously the Admiral is going to be determined to carry out his investigation no matter what we say. Even with what's currently going on, he's more interested in paperwork.
Bertram's going to say, before anyone goes in there, I'd like some scans to be taken of Representatives Zeta and Admiral Hardin. There has to be some, unless it's down to sheer blind luck, there has to be some factor that we haven't yet identified to stop them being affected by the issue we have.
The captain
be something-
nods vehemently.
Could it
Yeah.
be something to do with the representative because her people have no they haven't got transport technology.
Excuse me, I
um,
resent that implication, says the
No.
representative.
Not implying as an offence representative, it could be the fact that it's something to do with your biology may inhibit transporter beams that we weren't aware of.
Right. Bertram, in Nova's
Yep.
body.
Yep.
Can I get an insight and command check? And I am going to, after I reload my page, I am going to use some of my threat to up the what's the word?
Anti?
Difficulty?
No. Up the complication range of this check that now Bertram in Nova's body is going to attempt in order to interpret this wave of emotion that's just crashed against his awareness.
Can I just say, Matt, I mean this with all due respect, but I'm a doctor, not a Nova. You gave me the perfect setup with that edge, I had to use that line.
Now, technically,
As you said, I'm using command.
yeah, nice.
Thank you very much.
You can't see it, but I gave you gun fingers there.
Unfortunately, no, I was looking at somebody's character sheet.
It
Have
is
I got
yours.
these goggles
It is
on?
yours. You've got those goggles on, yeah.
Okay, so insight and command that becomes insight plus medicine. I take it no focus or anything like that is going to apply.
Not in Bertram's case.
Yeah, thought so.
And
2 successes.
2 successes, no complications. Okay, yes. There was Now the trouble here being that Bertram, in a Betazoid's body, is not entirely familiar. The beds are probably 2 foot higher than you remember. Yeah, okay.
You know, my sick bay is equipped with beds that could go to multiple levels.
Yeah, but they'd be set for Bertram, not Nova.
Yeah, that's why I'm clicking the button to lower the beds down to where they're comfortable. Do you think this is like
everyone else is just like having to lean further down now?
Do you think this is like the 21st century when that sort of thing was a novelty?
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
Well, no, fine. So, yes, whereas Nova, a born Betazoid, would have more experience with interpreting the signals, the emotional signals she's getting, Bertram, in somebody else's body than his own, is of course finding this whole a very weird experience. So all Bertram is able to discern is that with all this, and we of course use the terminology loosely because how do you define this extra sense without referencing other earthly senses? So it's very much a case of the best I can manage is Bertram is trying his best in Nova's body to filter out all this whispering, so Bertram is always talking louder than he should. Because, you know, he's having to talk over all the damn voices! But then all of a sudden, from somewhere off to his west, there was this loud noise, or this extreme colour. So, for Bertram, in Nova's body, it was very much a case of, oh, what was that? It seemed to come off from somebody over in this direction, which, considering in this direction you've also got Natala with Viper's body, and likewise Zazanan in Natala's body, it's a bit difficult to pin down who that might have been, but you certainly were able to, at least as soon as that blast happened, Bertram in Nova's body, which is going to be something I'm going to be saying quite frequently here, somebody in somebody's body, it's like, whoa, okay, whoa, no, I'm cool, I'm fine. Woo, that was a bit loud.
Jan's having issues.
Jan's having issues?
Just booted from the server.
Oh.
You still with us on Discord, Jan?
Yes.
Yay!
Here. I'm
Okay.
just logging back in.
Cool. Do your best with what you got. So,
Okay.
let's have
Bertram's
basic...
first-
Yep, go on.
So Bertram's first priority before going over there is making sure that Natala's not having either sort of physically mental or psychologically mental issues with the rush of memories from the symbiont.
So Natala's going to try an insight and command check to try and inform her own presence and identity. So if somebody wants to take that for me, somebody who hasn't rolled yet, like I don't
Jan's
know.
not rolled, I don't think.
Jan's not
Or did
rolled
he roll
yet.
as well?
Actually,
Yeah,
no,
he
Jan
just-
has rolled as
he rolled as-
He's
somebody.
all.
So Alex.
Sorry, I'm trying to click on Edwards again.
You're clicking on the token that looks like Viber's, but is actually Natala.
I'm locked out of both.
I don't think it's shared here.
Aha, that's a good point. Because I wanted this to be a surprise, I locked out. So that'll be me. I'll do it. I'll get it! No focuses. Foci. 2 successes. Okay. Natala in Viber's body is able to hold on to just about enough of her personality to go, okay, I think I've got it. Right. By the way, this is weird. It's not like having another voice, says Natala. But it's definitely, I'm remembering things that I didn't do, and this is kind of weird. And let me just... And Natala then turns to... Where is he? Where is Viber's actually at the moment?
He's in Bertram.
Well,
He's in Bertram's
Oh.
body, that's it!
no. Vibers isn't in Bertram's body.
Well, Kano.
Kano Nulam is in Bertram's body because Vibers
Right.
is still there.
At which point, Commander Kano Vibers' body at least points over to the body of Dr. Bertram and goes, "I knew it, you dodgy bastard."
Can you hold off till I've made sure my patient is safe? That doing the scans while Natala in Vibers is talking to make sure I'm satisfied their brain isn't exploding or something.
Sure.
Kano talking to Vibers. I have no memory of what you could possibly be referring to.
Natala in Vibers' body just puts fists on hips. Oh, really? That's a convenient excuse, isn't it?
If you've got the memories, I haven't.
Haven't I just? She says. Anyway, there was going to be tests run, so let's get to testing. What's going on?
Perhaps we can dazzle the Admiral with our cross-department
Functionality.
training. Yeah.
I just like to say, Matt, you're a sadist. I know it's not the first time I've said it.
I confess, I read this episode synopsis and I giggled more than a little. Then I sat down and wondered. I spent some time agonizing over who should swap with whom. I'm just going to leave that there. In any case, the Admiral, after hearing his name mentioned, goes, "Well, I'll be interested in seeing that, Commander Natala, because there will be a simulated battle taking place on the bridge soon enough. We have 1 hour to depart the station in order to make our way to our destination at Janus 6 so that the representative can arrive at the summit. In the meantime, 2 hours after we are underway, I will be expecting everyone ready for the simulated battle against an enemy warship to commence. On time, no excuses."
So the question comes down to, do we go to our actual stations or the stations of our bodies? Because surely it'd be based off our own mental capabilities, so we'd know what we know and our own familiarities. It's just
You will be
different
going
bodies.
to your assigned positions, Commander. You would know that. He jots down more notes in his pad. Captain Ducasse is having a real hard time maintaining her composure at this point, and so Andrews, from her position in Edwards' body, is just
worthwhile. If you and the Admiral prepare for departure, and we will return to our stations at the appropriate time once Dr. Bertram has completed his assessment.
I agree, Lieutenant. Commander. Lieutenant. I agree. Admiral, if you would like to accompany me to the bridge, I will have somebody show the representative to the diplomatic quarters as soon as she is in the clear here in sickbay. If you would, please. The Admiral looks at the captain, looks at the rest of you, kind of nods to himself, keeps on typing in more notes, and both the captain and the Admiral depart sickbay. All right then. So, tests
He's
that
going to
you want
fail
to
us
run.
if we actually go to our to where we're normally meant to go, and not the bodies, isn't he?
Correct, Lieutenant.
Bertram is going to ask her if she can lie down on the bio bed so that they can start the scan of them to try and actually find out basically any unseen issues with her, and also see if they can find out why she was unaffected by the transporter issue.
Okie dokie. Alright. Meanwhile, Andrews and Kano, being this close to Nurse Tomlin, you notice that, well, she's been pretty much just had her head down in her medical tricorder, the entire time. As soon as Admiral Hardin leaves, she visibly relaxes. Great, Hardin has gone. Whew. I so hate that guy.
Lieutenant.
Apologies, Lieutenant. Commander.
Let's just go by the rank of the body that we're in, shall we? So, Lieutenant, because it's easy for everyone.
Sure.
However, Commander, if you order me to do something, I will refuse, unless it's to do with normal operations.
It's just that, continues Nurse Tomlin, I've heard the stories about Admiral Hardin, and I've heard him fail people on the Enterprise for really small things. The guy's like the hardest guy to please. The guy has a reputation. I've heard people quit after he's done inspecting their stations.
Well, I failed then.
Well, then let's aim to disprove his low expectations of our crew.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant. Sir. Oh, God.
Go with the rank, not the person.
I am really not cut out for command.
Well, the good news is that you're partially connected to the ship, so someone can be directing commands, suggestions to you in your position. The main issue we're going to have is getting Nova to a point where she's stable.
Let's do our little tests then.
1 second.
Shall we?
I need your pad for a minute.
Can I, whilst this is going
Andrews.
on... Oh, sorry, go on.
I mean, we've been assuming this was a glitch or an accident, but could this have been some kind of sabotage?
Bertram in Nova's body, go ow. Big shout, big noise, colour, flash, something.
I'm trying to focus through this, probably while clutching my head. Going, yeah.
I mean, what are the repercussions if we fail apart from to our reputation?
Oh, I mean, I'm thinking even bigger than that. I mean,
I think, yes, like you're saying, that it's not...
Yeah, so we're being incapacitated, basically.
Almost as if it's wanted to fail so that the representative doesn't make it to the conference.
Bertram, it happens again.
Yeah!
So you expect this to really go badly for us beyond the
I'm more
test?
concerned at this moment in time with what Dr. Bertram's feeling.
Nurse Nutith puts her hand on Nova, or Bertram in Nova's body's shoulder. Perhaps you should allow one of us to do these scans for you, Lieutenant, Doctor. I agree with Nurse Tomlin. This is getting to be rather confusing.
What are you suffering from?
Nurse Bravo, can I see you a moment?
It's going to be it's her ability, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Her ability isn't very long range, is it?
Nurse Bravo, I need you to see if you can help me gain some context for what I'm feeling.
Oh, fair enough. I don't think you reached out to the entire ship.
Yeah, it's the entire ship.
Yes, hence why I said that Bertram, when he talks in Nova's body, he's talking very loud.
Yeah.
It's like trying to make yourself heard in a crowded room.
So basically, when I called over to Bravo, that was probably a yell over all your voices.
Yeah. Nurse Bravo comes over and says, Doctor, I'm afraid there's a bit of a problem with that. You see, Nova's an empath and I'm a telepath. We have similar physiology, but our senses, our perceptions are different. We have linked enough time, we have telepathically communicated enough times, Nova and myself, that I could probably give you some help in this regard, but ultimately, how do I put this? A Betazoid's ability to differentiate different emotions is like I can't even describe it as colors or tastes because it's an entirely different perception, but it's along that level. Every individual perceives things slightly differently, even though you can say anger is red, or a jealousy might be a taste or a smell, maybe, and that is me grossly oversimplifying it. The individual will still potentially filter those sensations in that manner, but it will still be very much their own. And if you are indeed experiencing Nova's empathy, but through your own filter, I can only provide what might be the most basic of interpretations as to what you might be perceiving.
Just had an idea. Did we get any... I mean, when those Klingons have been around that have those inhibitors, did we able to confiscate one of them from them when we've taken them prisoner?
Yeah.
Or move them? Because wouldn't that be useful for the Doctor right now?
But they cause long-term degradation and damage to the person wearing them.
Yes.
What's the wrong way around?
Mm-hmm.
It's a shield of the person wearing it, not shielding the person wearing it.
But it'd be modified though to act sort of like a helmet, just to keep things from outside getting in.
Potentially, but again, you're inhibiting somebody's... Well, actually, Bertram, in Nova's body, give me an insight and medicine check.
I was thinking because the way things are going...
Ooh, there's no actual... Use biology as a focus.
Okay.
Just wondering if the constant bombardment's going to be a degradation to Bertram's actual mental health.
Don't we have a moss for that?
Give me a
That's
second.
going to be like the saying, don't we have a moss for that? There's an app for that.
2 successes.
I'll check Bertram's pockets.
Yeah, Kano just pulls out sort of like 6 different samples of moss, and a datapad containing moss weekly.
Given that I've got a dagger on me, I'm assuming all the moss samples that I normally carry around with me are actually in your inventory at the moment.
Yep. Your inventories should read what the body has on them rather than what the character is used to having. So yes, very
I'm
much
a
the case.
walking arsenal.
Edwards is looking down at all these pockets and the phaser
The
rifle slung
weapon
across her
and
back.
everything.
That's a great
And
way
with
to prove to the Admiral that
still got-
you've actually body swapped. Put you in
Why
one-on-one
do we
combat.
still have the disruptor?
Indeed. Andrews.
So put
Why
in-
does Andrews still have a Klingon disruptor?
Probably because you didn't take it off of me at the end of the last episode, Mr. DM.
Yeah, in all
You're right
likelihood, the Type 3 phaser rifle would not be strapped across Andrews' physical back
want me to
because you would have
remove
been
them
to it. Well, no, that's just it's there as an option and there as escalation.
Alright.
But we assume, at the very least, that the Klingon Ducktag, since it has a house crest on it, is kind of allowed as long as it's never drawn out of its scabbard.
And the pistol.
Sheath. The disruptor pistol, in all likelihood, yes, was probably a leftover from last time.
So shall I just remove it?
If you want to, then that's fine, yes. Right, so 2 successes. You remember, actually, that there is a compound that Betazoids are known to take in order to suppress their abilities, called Theragen. For whatever reason, some Betazoids who have, who live amongst non-telepaths and non-empaths, sometimes go the route of suppressing their abilities in order to, cut out the noise, as it were. So.
It solves insomnia.
Here's the awkward thing. Given Bertram's kind of like upbringing and his mindset, he'd probably think it's more valuable and more worthwhile basically trying to control it without drugs or technology and stuff wherever possible. Because,
Okay.
well, given that one of his values is think of the long term, he's probably thinking, if I can actually, well, not master this, but actually sort of like basically work through the pain that this is causing me and kind of, overcome it, then it'll actually make me a better doctor in the future because I'll have had this experience. That is the way Bertram tends to think.
Okay.
Perhaps Nurse Bravo can give you a crash course, seeing as maybe Bravo is most or best suited. If Bravo can just summon up sort of different emotions and throw them at you and see if you can distinguish between them.
Duty comes first. Need
Okay.
to complete the examinations of everyone here. And I think it's only about now,
Sure.
given all the mental sort of stimulations he's got, he suddenly realised that dratted Admiral has left the room.
Oh yeah, also because Nova is an emotion junkie,
Ooh.
you're going to be getting the emotions of everyone else as well.
Well, that's more of an individual thing, but yes, there has become something of a mental dependency, which is why at the moment, Nova in Thazanan's body, she's not getting her usual influx, and that's
We
why
could
she's...
mimic it.
Mm-hmm.
We could mimic it by the electronic signals and make it sound like that there are voices.
You could try that, certainly.
Who needs electronic signals? Just put a set of headphones in her ears.
Wouldn't be the same kind of stimulation.
Yeah.
It's not the Starfleet way. We do everything with weird flashing technology normally strapped to the head.
Yeah, like a cortical stimulator.
Alternative.
Yes.
Well, I've got a bionic implant. Just pipe it through there.
Yeah. Pipe it into a visual
24/7.
cortex, completely the same.
24/7 Moss lectures.
We want to help the poor girl, not drive her deeper into psychosis.
Bertram is going to ask Bravo and Barony to help him complete the scans here. Once Barony's basically monitoring and basically tell him to stop if she sees he's doing anything wrong with the scanners, and he wants Nurse Bravo to see it. I know he's a telepath, not an empath, but he basically wants as best he can to kind of like judge if Bertram's getting overwhelmed and isn't responding properly, to basically tell him to stop in that respect as well.
So, I will be wanting Gareth to give me an insight and medicine check.
Yep.
You will be having Nurse Jenica Barony will be assisting by doing reason and medicine in order to check the doc's work. Nurse Bravo will be doing insight and command as an assist in order to be the one to try and help Bertram process the noise, as it were. And I will need one more person to be the ship in order to represent the ship's own medical computer.
Give me the ship.
Assist. So if Alex wants to be the ship, which will be sensors and medicine. Shaun, you haven't done much. Can I get you to be... Let's keep you in the realm of... Since you're not playing a Betazoid, since you haven't got your Betazoid abilities this time, let's give you some Betazoid by allowing you to be Nurse Bravo.
Really
And
good
Davis,
sense.
since you didn't have a chance to roll anything yet, or has Webby not rolled anything yet?
Davis will. It's fine.
Davis, since you've just signed on, you can be Nurse Barony's reason and medicine check.
I'm invoking my Starcross.
Okay.
Or I guess Nova is.
Is that a assist or the actual...
An assist, 1 dice, please.
2 successes.
Alright, so yes, Jenica holds okay, hang on, let me order my thoughts here. So, the biobed doesn't bring up much. Nurse Bravo helps, telepathically helps Bertram in Nova's body process these this overwhelming noise that's coming in. Specifically, there's one big amount of noise that seems to keep rolling in from somewhere very close by. But at the moment, Nurse Bravo is just here to try and help filter all of this so it's not too overwhelming. So Bertram, as a result of that success from Bravo, doesn't suffer any ill effects and can therefore get those 2 successes off. And Nurse Barony is just there checking his work, making sure it's all going in fine. Okay. There really doesn't appear to be. Is there still any link to Hello in Keval's bionics that can be triggered and cause more mental problems as she links herself to a Tilical unit? Interesting.
Hello at one point was linked fully into Keval's.
Yes.
That's how he got the blackouts, wasn't it?
The navigating and blackouts, yeah. She's
So
fully
technically-
unconscious at this point.
Yes, that could be a method of simulating similar thing. Yeah. And since that connection was already made, it would be easier to enact. Yes, that's certainly a possibility. Sadly, however, there's no obvious... there's no obvious physical cause for why this all happened. Now, you are getting interesting readings from Representative Zeta. You've never actually met a Zondaran before, and as such, their physical, biological makeup hasn't been entered into the Starfleet data or the Starfleet medical database. So this is the first time that guys are seeing Representative Zeta's physiology. There are 1 or 2 interesting-looking glands here and there in her physiology that you're not entirely certain what is going on with. But for the moment, they appear to be just dormant biological functions, which could mean pretty much anything. But the representative's cortisol levels, her stress levels, appear to be somewhat high, which could be easily explained by the fact that she is being, beamed on board a ship with technology she's not familiar with, and she's now being subjected to intense medical scans by people who claim they're in other people's bodies. So,
Okey-dokey.
But you don't find anything that seems to clue you in onto what may be going on. But Nurse Barony and Nurse Bravo will say, this is new territory with Zondera, and therefore it might take some time to collate the biological information that they've just received.
Yeah.
And rather than keep the representative here, maybe send her back to her quarters.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna put the information into the computer and basically start some medical computer in the background running sort of like scans and knowledge checks and stuff, especially on those organs I'm not sure about.
Cool.
The other thing that Bertram is going to say is, we'll hear everyone who's sort of like beamed in should go through the standard blood checks, the security ones.
Yep, and it surprises nobody that you're all as healthy as you expect to be, and there's nothing physically wrong with you except that your brain patterns are in the wrong body.
I've just had a horrible realization. I'm in a human body, not a changeling body.
That's what I was
All of
going
a
to say.
sudden,
Like,
Andrew's form's just going to collapse into a pile of goo.
I would assume that none of us, other than the Admiral, who again has run off before we can do these tests, come up as changelings.
No one comes up as changelings.
Okay.
Everyone comes up as changelings.
Oh, I'm gonna stop.
Take control of Natal.
Except for Edwards.
Okay, I guess once that's
Edwards
done, next
or Edwards? I'm joking.
next thing I'm going to do is see if I can hook up something to, like we said, sort of like dampen or blunt the issues that Nova's going to have when we've been around.
I'd probably say the opposite. You want to be stimulating, don't you?
Yeah.
So it was suggested by Shaun that maybe use the fact that Bazanan was at one point plugged into the navigational computer and therefore had a direct computer link. network link to Unit Hello.
Yeah, but Bertram would be more likely to go with a cortical stimulator before Hello.
Okay.
Sorry, Shaun.
Bertram's body might disagree.
So
No, his
essentially,
mind definitely disagrees with that.
well, essentially, what you're looking to do is induce auditory hallucinations.
I think hallucinations a bit strong. It's more sort of like,
You're
Yeah.
basically
Background
going to
noise.
try and hear things that aren't there.
kind of like a background hum, gentle, soothing hum.
So the sound of like rainfall on a roof, or
Can I have a look at the implants? I've done these before, just not with these hands.
Yeah, if you think you can help.
We set that unit up as a comm unit at some
you
point.
did. You did.
I'd like to turn the internal comm channel and put it on low on the ears. So every internal comm message on the ship, just on low volume.
Just so it's a murmur rather than a roar. Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I will take that. Actually, I haven't been adding material momentum pools, have I? So let me add some in there that I neglected to. Let's go with it then. Give it a good old go. This is going to be.
I was just gonna say, Matt.
Yo.
Is there, just for the reference, is there by any chance information in the computer database about subjects such as Anastasia Targus and the cybernetic implants designed to counteract overstimulus and understimulus that they were used for? Yes, I am referencing the old Star Trek board game.
I don't get that reference, I'm sorry, so you'll have to explain
You're
that to
the
me in more
The
detail.
one with John Delancey in, when you're jump back in time and trying to save your father. It's an old computer game for the
Yes,
90s.
right, yes, now I remember. Star Trek Borg, right, yes, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the characters in that had an implant because I believe she was kidnapped by the Cardassians or something, and they basically addicted her to mental stimulation and then basically ripped it away to force her to go to cold turkey as a part of
Right,
as a
that
type of
was
torture.
right. And you want to do what now with it? You want to basically simulate that?
They created an implant that basically provided sort of like low level sort of stimulation, so enough that she could function normally, but basically just enough that her her addiction issues and psychological issues were basically repressed by it.
So enough that it was manageable.
Yeah.
Alright, so it sounds like Bertram and Kano, maybe even Edwards, can help out with this one.
Yep.
Alrighty. So this is mostly going to be...
I could also potentially assist as doing PTSD survival.
Yep, there's that
going
too.
through the
That
steps
would
of
be
what you need to
1,
do as bringing the
2,
brain back
3,
out of
4.
it.
That would be the maximum amount of dice that you would be able to use, so that's fine.
What the role would be? Reason and science?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll give
Who's
reason
going
and
to
medicine
be
as there'll be a
lead?
surgical.
Since Navis suggested it and you came up with the way of how to do it,
Yep.
let's have Kano in Bertram's body as the lead, but
Yep.
obviously Bertram can assist from the medical standpoint.
Cool.
Gonna make this difficulty 3 since you're trying to augment something that's already in there. And I am also going to put a point of threat in because to up the complication range, because let's face it, this could go very interestingly wrong.
Let's go easy with my brain.
Exactly.
An implant expert.
Can my new focus come into play?
Experimental tech?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just realised that's not in this version. Nor is
Yes,
one
quite, because the character sheets
Yeah.
I've given you were the ones when you were in your actual proper bodies. So, yep, all fine. Go for it. So, Edwards is assisting, Bertram is assisting, Andrews is assisting, so each of them with one dice each.
Could I use presence and command of just going through the steps on what you need to do for someone with severe PTSD?
Yep.
Presence, command, form task. Use your kind.
So that leaves our lead to use his steady hands.
Okay. We've used 3, so I can't rest. And steady hands would have been it. Can I use determination if it takes over to 5 dice?
We're already at the maximum of 5 dice.
That's it. No.
So no determinations, I'm afraid. But you've already racked up 4 successes, so everything from here is just added extras. An extra 2! Lordy looks, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in total, so you definitely got the 3 that I said you should. Come on, you stupid mouse. 13 and a 15 and a 1 and a 14. All very good, pardon me, all very good rolls. Nice. So yes, you managed to create a simulated mental stimulant that, as far as Nova in Thazanan's body goes, could very well be at least a good enough substitute that Nova should be able to now continue to take part. So Shaun, you can, have Nova actually take part in proceedings now. It's weird. It's not quite the same, but it's still mental stimulation, and it still sounds like voices and stuff like that. So it's as close as it's going to be, which, considering that Nova is in a strange body to begin with, might be just about enough.
Bertram will actually, or I'll actually suggest, given his the PTSD guidance he's given us now, and using Edward's body is the one to actually greet Nova, because Nova might not be served best with what appears to be her looking down on her.
Yeah, looking into her own face. Yeah, that's probably a good point.
That might not be the best thing to keep her stable.
But think of the opportunity you've got up to is like, Nova, I am your conscience. We haven't talked recently.
Just lean over and just be like, my God, you're greasy.
So I think there's the other side of things, though, and she is addicted to the whole sensation of it, which just voices isn't going to recreate. So
However, at the same time, they've just... Sorry to talk over you there, Shaun, but they have just gone to lengths now to try and create stimulation, so it feels like stimulation. Obviously, it's not the same, so go on with what you're saying.
Methadone to a heroin addict.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Sorry? What did you say,
Davis
Davis?
said,
It's like methadone to a heroin
Yeah.
addict.
So it's not
It's
the same.
Quite there, but it might cover the itch.
it'll give
Yeah.
you, get you through the night, kind of.
So, time has, of course, moved on, and the ship is underway, and it's time for the simulations to begin. So, hopefully now everybody is in a position where they can more or less function. But of course, I've got to replace crew members with their newer, I say newer, their current versions. So, let me bring the
Nice
new
thing,
in.
though, is Latala has a joint benefit on them.
Well, kind of yes and kind of no at the same time. It's kind of it's a bit weird in that respect, but yes.
Oh yeah, it doesn't work.
So, Shaun, from your point of view, then, as long as Nova is being given something to do and there's this thing tickling her brain, would she still be up for doing stuff?
Possibly.
Because
I
you're
think-
being... Sorry, go on.
I think being Nova should probably be more focused on the fact there's a potential link to Hello.
Well, the link to Hello was explored as an option, so it can still be the one that actually happens if you wanted to.
No, it's fine.
Cool. Well, it may interest Nova. Nova's interest may perk when she realizes that she's going to be sat at the helm.
Gonna do a donut.
So,
Play with the
Actually-
spaceship.
so on the on the bridge, glances nervously at Nova. Admiral Hardin sits down in the extra chair on the bridge. This will be a simulated battle against a Romulan warbird. Right then. You are now all under examination.
Captain, permission to to relieve Lieutenant Claude of his position, if that would be suitable for yourself.
Captain Ducasse just warily looks over at Hardin, and Admiral Hardin is there putting in more notes and kind of tutting to himself.
Merely the fact that we want to show that even our Lieutenant Junior grade officers, forgive me for speaking out of turn, Captain, but I'd like to prove that as a Lieutenant Junior grade I also have the skills of Lieutenant Claw.
Never let it be said that Captain did not allow her junior officers the chance to better themselves and to show off their breadth of skills. Very well, Mr. Edwards. Lieutenant Claude, you are relieved. You may take up the secondary tactical position. Claude, entirely unsure of what's going on, stomps over to the secondary tactical position. Alright then, so, let me see, who have we got? Da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, blah 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 blah. Have we got everybody? I think we got everybody. I'm going to take us briefly over to the, actually, I've forgotten one character. El Capitan. But, this, of course, you are still on the bridge, and the bridge is, all the bridge systems have been switched over to simulation mode. Types the console to Edwards, play it cool, follow basic
That was supposed to be me, but you changed the screen.
Sorry, beg your pardon.
It's alright.
However, yes, this is a simulation. A Romulan Dideridex class warbird has now appeared on the screen. The simulation has begun. The red alert klaxon sounded, and we are underway. Now, I'm not going to run the entirety of the battle because that would take far too long, so I'm just going to get a general sense by doing a single task for everybody of how well people are going to do at their posts. So, usually in a battle, one of the first things that happens would be a command officer issues a command directive in order to provide, from a game standpoint, either an advantage that the rest of the crew can use, or of course to issue an order in order to put extra dice into another crew member's task. So, the captain will do her usual thing of creating an advantage for you. Whoop. Something went squeal there. But she only gets one success, so the captain is obviously having a hard time, even with her composure, of trying to keep it straight that her regular officers are in entirely different places than they actually are, even though, to all intents and purposes, they're physically still in the places they should be. So the captain kind of fumbles over her words a little bit there, which Admiral Hardin notes. So next up would usually be Andrews, with issuing a command or assisting with another position. So unfortunately, it's actually Edwards that's in this role at the moment. So,
Okay.
Ed, what would Edwards like to do? What kind of thing is Edward's going to try to do?
Just reverse the polarity.
No. It would probably be more of a defensive, so attempt to raise the shields with inbuilt link while giving the command of evasive maneuvers.
Evasive maneuvers. All right then. Give me, give me presence and command.
Oh, I hate you. Okay. Oh my gosh.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay.
Actually, I thought I was going to fail that so badly.
So, Edwards, with Admiral Hardin looking on expectantly at the person sat in the number one position, the first officer position, Edwards suddenly realizes that because he's been very much more focusing on engineering as of late, because that seems to be where he's settled best, his knowledge of Starfleet attack and evasive patterns are a little wanting. So Edwards kind of goes, defensive pattern Omicron 6? So Thazanan, from wherever he's currently sat, where is Thazanan at the moment again? He's on the science station, and so he's very much a case of what? You want to do
Actually,
what?
Matt,
Yeah.
would it be possible to subtly transfer controls without the Admiral noticing?
Ooh. Wouldn't that be interesting? Ooh,
Well,
okay.
technically, I'm not controlling. I'm just giving.
You're not.
Yeah, you're just giving orders, but for the rest, that would be very interesting. All right, let me see how well he notices. I'm gonna do that, but I'm also gonna throw in. That's what you're up against. Okay.
So, survival at any cost would be a good determination to burn here.
All right. You're pinning all your future. You know that your futures here are very much dependent on what Hardin thinks.
Or for the good of the Federation, because
For
if
the
he
good of
gets
the Federation,
rid
yeah.
of for the good of the Federation, with that one.
Yep.
What do you want for it?
You're trying to move controls surreptitiously, so this suggests control.
Just to create a if I could, or just create a diversion to allow everyone else to just subtly switch over their panels.
So that would still suggest that you're trying to. Well. Are you trying to just create an auditory one, or program in some kind of quick distraction? Does Andrews prefer to actually say something or code something in quickly to set off an alarm or something?
I'd probably say an alarm.
With your command protocols, let's go for control and security then. You've got access to Starfleet protocols, so you know the kind of thing that would be that would be the best trigger. That would give everybody enough cover to switch their control panels around.
Yeah. Do we want to burn some momentum on this to add an extra die?
Yes.
Yeah, all the help we can get.
Okay. Oh, nice. Nicely done. So
let's
the
just
distraction
use
was
that.
successful.
Let's just use that one.
Okay,
No,
yep,
just
Bertram.
challenge. And we're dying for one.
Nope,
No, I
don't
got
get it back, I'm afraid. But it was a very good distraction. The Admiral is totally taken by it as a random. Let's go for a warning alert. Suddenly goes off on the control panel on the Admiral's chair.
Yeah,
So,
just
some
something like
security
a simulation glitch.
Cool.
Just something so he's distracted long enough, and then sending a coded message to swap all stations.
Very nice. So yeah, well done. Good thinking. I like it. Devious.
The only problem is giving feedback once you execute the task, so zip it.
Yeah. Everybody, play it cool. Play it cool.
Yeah, just pretend that you're pressing buttons on the console.
So, yes, that's the first officer having given a command. Now, Andrews and Edwards' body would usually be at a simulated engineering station, and as such, Andrews and Edwards' body had the perfect cover because in a battle simulation, Edwards would not be the one, under active use unless it was repairing damage. So that was the perfect cover. I like it. So that's you two gone. Usually next up would be the science station with trying to scan for a weakness that you could use. Now ordinarily this would be Natala, but of course Natala is in somebody else's body, and once again the name has changed.
Fibers.
So it's actually Vibers. So I don't know why that did that, like it did, doing the do that they do. So just to help
Tala
things
vibers
along.
now.
Yeah, it could be the other officers could be sending out sort of like readouts to the other stations as well as part of this, so that Keval executing the whatever maneuver that we aim to go into, and then it could just be Nova at the console going through it, all the motions, etc., and saying attack pattern completed.
If Nova wants to.
That's a good point. Yes, Nova has access to the Helm panel, and of course, she can pretend to strike buttons. How well?
She doesn't lie.
What was that, Shaun?
She doesn't lie.
She doesn't lie. That's a very good point. So, either way, next up is usually Natala on science doing sensor scans to look for weaknesses. But at the moment, Natala is currently in the body of Vibers on the engineering station. So, I suppose this would be where she does... Now, the good thing is the engineering station is at the back. And the Admiral has been distracted from everybody using different... Well, the Admiral's not to know. So I'm just going to roll Natala. It's usually difficulty 2 or 3, and that's on the money bit win, so that's gone well. The Admiral's still typing notes in his pad furiously, but it seems Natala's gotten away with that on the engineering station. Now, next up is usually Helm, where they enact the defensive or attack pattern. So this comes down to... yeah. Now, technically, Thazanan has got the cover to transfer the Helm controls over to the science station that Natala's body is currently stood next to, but as has quite rightly been pointed out, Nova doesn't lie. So I suppose it's going to be a race to see who programs in the the Helm command first.
Depends what came through. If it came through as an order from a command, then Nova would just be sat there essentially waiting until it's ops. So
wait until it's
rather
ops'
than
turn.
enacting that she's doing anything, she just literally was sat there waiting.
Okay. If that's the way you think it would go, then that's cool. That means that, Jan has the perfect cover to, you wait for your own, you went for your usual blue token there, didn't you?
As Nova's just sitting there, is that Andrews will type to cast and say his cybernetic implant allows him to do tactile interface.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Only if asked.
So,
Well,
yes. Sorry, go on.
We'll execute attack pattern beta 3, which would be the correct one to use. But that's neither here nor there.
Alright then, so give us your control and con check. To
Yeah, you could use it,
initiate an attack pattern.
You could say it as well as Natala and say, based on current scans, Captain, I suggest altering to attack pattern.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I like that. Like, very much comes under. Yep, okay. Nope, that's good. I like that. And that was a very good attack roll. So, yes. The Admiral's still jotting down notes every time somebody mentions something or does something. Tuts every now and again, but so far so good. You're pulling this off very nicely. So, under normal circumstances, that would have been the command crew would have the command officers would have created the advantages, or would have created the necessary assists. Sensors would have been used to try and find a weakness to give an attack weapon like phasers or photon torpedoes the piercing quality. Try and hit the enemy vessel on a weakened area. Helm then maneuvers the ship so it's either harder to hit or easier for it to hit the enemy. Which means that we come down to tactical. And we've done a bit of a surreptitious swap here so that Edwards, or Andrews as Edwards, is occupying the tactical console. So a control and security now simulated using the, dare I ask, the phasers or the quantum torpedoes.
Shields are up, wouldn't use torpedoes. As much as it pains her, standard protocol is that you would engage with the phasers first to weaken the shields and then move on to the torpedoes.
So shields were brought
We're
up.
going by the book on this, not by the Navis rules.
Okay, alright then. In that case, phasers, so that's going to be... that would usually be a difficulty 2, but it's been brought down to 1 as a result of an attack pattern, so...
Lord's finger twitches over his button.
Claude wants to fire. It's in Claude's nature.
Alright, yeah, Andrews will line up for the actual shots then. She'll still let Claude press the button.
If we were going by Navis rules, Keval would be blowing them up from a shuttlecraft.
Oh
well,
my
exactly.
God.
Oh dear.
Hang on. No, not that one. The other
Is he going to be able to find it before I say complicate? No, okay. Are you sure? That's the one
not
you
that one.
wanted to go for. Because if I get to the end of managing to say the word
Is it Legion of Honor? Yeah. It's the one I first clicked. There we go. There we
just
go.
about got it out there.
I don't like medals.
Nova resents that.
Who's in Nova's body at the moment?
Bertram.
Bertram. Oh yeah, so like one side of your arm must be going numb for the amount of medals they hold it.
He's keeps them around in case he ever finds a vending machine. Just doesn't have any coins. Just puts medals in.
To be honest, Bertram's more awkward about the fact he's got a dagger on him. That's not his sort of thing.
Not to mention his weight, you know, the weight distribution's a bit off.
I think there should be 2 daggers. She had a Klingon one as well.
Yeah. So all the medals lean off to the right. The Klingon one leans off the left. It balances itself. So that was a phaser miss.
Equipment on me.
Actually, no,
Oh,
that was a
God.
phaser hit because it was one success.
I just realised Kano's got all of my carried around moss samples. So
Yep.
help me if any of them are damaged or missing.
Suddenly appear on the Orion marketplace. You mean?
That really has the edible glowing mushroom though.
It's
Don't
fine.
mix it up with the energy
Pull
draining
out
one.
of your pocket and put them in a tub of water so that they.
Wait,
they
you have an
grow.
energy draining mushroom?
No, it's moss.
They're all in the same bucket of water.
Kano does feel that these plants in these containers move an awful lot more than is comfortable. Occasionally, the little sample containers rattle, and it's like, what?
So that's just
I
letting
will-
you know that they're okay.
It's fine. I've replicated some duct tape and I've duct taped all the lids off.
In any case, we've come to the bit where the shot has missed.
You said it was one success.
There was one success. No, it hit. Good point. So the shot was a successful hit. Thank goodness. If it wasn't for the sudden change to the attack pattern, it would have been a miss. As such, it's now up to Ops to try and regain the energy lost. So if Nova's not going to do it, then it falls to Bertram to try it.
I don't suppose plasma power systems can work as a focus on this.
Yes, they can, in a way. But it's only because Bertram is like going, right, so that moves through that conduit, and that moves through that conduit. And this is going to be daring and engineering, but with difficulty 3.
Oh, bloody hell.
Hang on a
Use
second.
the momentum.
Yeah, I was going to say,
use the
I've been alright with me using the momentum.
Yeah.
I've got a cat furiously tapping me now.
You're not the
Say
only
hello,
one
guys.
trying to invade my screen at the moment. And nudge my mouse. Stop it. You're cute and furry, but please stop.
Okie dokie. Yeah. And rolling.
I'll give you treats
Ah,
if you
damn
don't
it.
do what I think you're doing.
Right, so power distribution doesn't quite happen because it does have to be drawn from the core and then distributed amongst the various systems, mostly defensive ones, and then the warp core has power teased back out of it. And unfortunately, Bertram hasn't been keeping up with his engineering training as much as he should have, and it's a case of, dang it!
Wait, should have? I'm a
Quite get the
doctor, not an
distribution.
engineer.
Could succeed at cost.
Could succeed at cost.
It blows the port nacelle out again, and everyone's just like, "Don't look at the port nacelle. Don't look at the
So
port
what you're
nacelle."
saying is, I blow up the port nacelle, getting rid of the evidence.
Which leaves us with engineering having to repair whatever attack the Romulans made, may or may not causing damage to either shields in order to bring shields back up, or repairing damage. So Vibers, or rather, well, Natala's already had her thing, so it's going to be, where is he? Well, actually, that's a good point. I left him on the bridge and I didn't bring him over. Oopsie-days. Let me rectify that situation. Thought I was short somebody.
Okay. Vibes is going to do the most sensible thing he can possibly do in this situation where only half his memories seem to be present.
Eject the warp core.
Kill Hardin.
Bravo! You're trained for this. Carry on.
Delegate! I like it.
I have a staff. Use them.
At which point Admiral Hardin just goes, and starts typing in numbers. So that's the general feel of how that entire battle simulation goes. It's very much it's so much of it is trying to dodge around the fact that to stop the Admiral from noticing that the people in the positions they're in aren't doing the jobs of the positions they're supposed to be in. But, you know, the distraction was big enough that you've gotten away with it, but some of the performance was on the cusp of being not the usual level of awesome that you're used to enacting. So it was a skin of the teeth job. So the encounter against the Romulans, as far as the simulation goes, is a success. You do manage to fight the Romulans to a standstill, and that's when the Admiral gets up, types in some more notes into his pad, and goes, "Very well then. The next test will be a simulated problem with the warp core. Therefore, it'll be time to now move down to engineering. So, down to engineering we go."
Well, Natala's at least got some engineering skills.
And
So-
potentially some memories that aren't hers?
Potentially.
Oh yeah, she's
That could
gonna have
go
all of Viper's.
interesting. That could go interestingly wrong. Hmm.
He finds out about the contraband ring he's got.
Oh no, that's a given. I'm actually saying along the lines of Natala suddenly finds out she's not in control.
I am going to throw Natala's ownership back to everybody again now, because I can't be rolling for Natala for too much, otherwise I'm going to deprive you guys of actually being able to do stuff. So hopefully you guys can now actually access and do stuff with Natala's sheet.
Natala by committee.
Indeed. So, down in engineering, Admiral Hardin activates a simulation. The Romulans managed to get a few lucky shots off, and the warp core has been damaged. You have a short amount of time before the systems go critical. Computer, begin simulation. Okay. So let's see how well this goes. Now, Edwards, in quotes, can assist. There's also Bravo on staff to assist as well, if needs be. So other folks can join in. So naturally, the chief engineer is going to be looked at as the one who's going to take charge of the operation and do it.
Are
So,
we missing the tokens?
why'd you say
only
that?
see Bravo.
You only see
Officers just
Bravo?
don't own a toker on the scene.
Yep.
I
Interesting.
can see, but that's because I've got because I've
I
got
can't.
Edwards is on. I'm on the screen and.
Let me kill Natala then.
No,
Not
don't kill
literally.
Natala.
Not
we
literally.
Need her.
Let me configure ownership to be owned by everybody's players. I'm going to bring this one in. Can you see now?
Yes.
I can see Vibers.
No. I can see Vipers, yeah.
Well,
Yes,
the Tala in
still
Vibers.
Vibers.
You can't see anybody else.
Nope.
Interesting. 1 second, folks. Let's see what's happened here. Oop. This is the usual one, so I don't know why that hasn't happened. Main engineering, lighting, global illumination is on. Token vision.
I'm trying to
Ah.
click on someone.
Boink.
Oh, there we are.
Hey.
No token
There we
vision. There we go.
Okay. Was the Admiral's comment made on an open channel?
Not as such, no. Unless, of course, somebody wants to surreptitiously open communications so that everybody can hear it. Which, you know, Vibers...
Actually, we've made the internal comms plugged into Nova's brain. Did we leave the channel open when we did? Just to give her the background noise.
I will allow, since you came up with the idea, for Vibers in Bertram's body to try and activate the comm system surreptitiously in order to make it open so that you can do what you're going to do.
Yep.
Based on the crew's knowledge of Nova, the stimulus is that. Alright, okay. So this is going to be difficulty... Ooh, what did I make it? It was difficulty 3, the Admiral's notice. So...
Okay. Well, I'm doing 6 impossible things before breakfast, so...
Yeah, this qualifies as an unusual thing. 4 successes, you got 1 over what you needed. Nice, 1 momentum put back in the pool. Back to engineering we go. So yes, this is now an open comm, so that everybody on the bridge who's not involved and not present can hear it.
Can I make a suggestion then on this, so that Edwards doesn't absolutely flunk his engineering skills? Is that Natala knows Andrew's specialities and saying points to for Edwards to be looking out, to be shouting out observations from the main console, whilst the rest of the team assists, because then it would be a case of I can roll presence and command again.
Interesting. Okay, yep. Let's go with that.
And then it means that we can get other people to do sort of like for the Natala and Bravo and Guinness.
Very well. All right
Did
then.
my requisition go through, by the way?
Which was what?
The one that I posted earlier tonight?
The one about the extra crew member?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll go through, but when and if you
processing.
get them,
Yeah.
will happen. We'll see next time. In the meantime, however, so yes, the Admiral is very interested in this. Doesn't say anything, it's just there typing down more notes. But the simulated breakdown of the warp core is going on, so I suppose it's going to be Andrews in Edwards' body giving presence and command as an assist. Likewise, somebody can be Lieutenant Bravo, since it's usually... I don't know, actually we can let Davis be Natala in Vibers' body, since, you know...
Oh, do we want to get Shaun to roll as someone as well? Because Shaun's
Yep.
not going to do a lot
Someone else
as
can do
Nova.
Natala.
The rest.
I was going to say Shaun can be Bravo. Stick with the Betazoid theme.
Once you go by this door, you never go back.
And on a similar vein, maybe Jan could actually be an Andorian again this time, and maybe be Lieutenant Shikanis. So that
I'm
should be
incapable.
You're not capable?
Nope.
Okay.
Do you want to roll for the Natala? Because I've got an interesting one Vibers is going to do to assist. Kinda. I need a ref call on this one.
Ref call.
Wrong system, my dude, but okay.
Right. What Vibers would like to do is send a message to his own console, which Natala's happened to be standing by at the moment, which just says manual number 7.
Don't do anything with it. Just grab the manual and look as if you're looking at it. Yeah, sure.
It literally comes up with a manual with the instructions on how to deal with a warp core breach step by step.
We've got a manual for that, which is essentially Vibers, or rather Kano, I should say, lending Natala his aid.
Yes.
So that will allow you to aid in this role. Cool. In that case, let's bring you into this. So let's put the token there to represent your ability to actually aid in this. So if Jan, you can't access Lieutenant Shiknis, then maybe we'll allow, because we're on the maximum number of dice then. If it's 1 for Andrews, 1 for Bravo, and 1 for Vibers in Bertram's body,
quite
that will leave the remaining
Vibers.
2 to go to Natala.
I'm quite happy Vibers not getting any dice, just throwing a procedural compliance in for the reroll and the cost. If that makes more sense.
I don't have the means of making Lieutenant Shiknis, rather I should say, accessible at the moment then, if she wasn't already, so you may as well ignore that side character and just have Vibers assist in Bertram's body. So this is going to be control and engineering checks for those who are assisting.
Am I still
Procedural
control engineering
compliance.
or presence and command as a suggestion?
But yours was the suggestion, was presence and command, so that's fine. Whoa. Okay.
Starfleet protocol as a foci?
Sure. Yep, nicely done. Anybody else? 1, 2, 3. So we've now basically got Natala in Vibers' body to roll. So who hasn't rolled yet? Jan, I deprived you of an Andorian roll. I may as well give you Natala to roll.
That's reason and engineering.
That's incorrect. This should be control and engineering in this regard.
Oh, sorry. Control engineering.
That was left over from last time. Starfleet safety protocols could be used here.
Alright.
Not bad at all. Very good. So you managed to pull off, with some help from your friends and some interesting little sideways means of managing this, you do manage to actually properly contain the warp core failure and help to reinitialize it. So that wasn't bad at all. Very successful. Cool. So what happens next is we move on to sickbay. So, these folks aren't actually all there. So I'm just going to line folks up in the corner in order to represent them not being there, but they're having your tokens available for use should you need them. So let me bring the Admiral off to one side. Okay. So the Admiral steps up. Continuing on with our theme of simulations to do with the situation we have just introduced, we are going under the assumption that the Romulans did enough damage to the ship that certain crew members were injured via a combination of plasma conduits being ruptured and system stability going out, bulkheads rupturing, that kind of thing. This is a test of how the medical team responds in an emergency. Computer, begin simulation. So, this is going to be a pretty much a reason and medicine check, including any folks who want to help out. But the nurses...
Bravo's telepathy. Does Bravo telepathically guide Kano in Bertram's body?
Ooh. I like that. Tell you what then.
Okay, so I'm getting nudges, suggestions, and answers.
Who hasn't rolled in a while?
Well, you could have it so that he's suggesting to the doctor that the doctor performs the initial emergency triage and then prioritizes patients.
Because that way, Kano can do it via presence and command rather than trying to do medicine. Because it's delegating and triaging to specific nursing staff.
Okay. I am going to put the threat level of the complication level of this up, because even though Kano does have the training and the knowledge of organizing lots of people, it's organizing engineering folk. Whereas triage for a medical emergency is a little bit different.
Apparently you're not supposed to just throw patients into bed.
So the complication range has gone up, but I'll definitely allow that Nurse Bravo can telepathically aid. So I'm going to need somebody to be Nurse Bravo and surreptitiously aid us here. So Shaun, you haven't had much to do. How do you feel about being Nurse Bravo?
Alrighty.
Cool. Nurse Bravo is trying to assist Vipers in Bertram's body. So let's go with the usual insight and command, shall we? Now, sadly, Nurse Bravo does not have the same telepathic focus that his brother does. So we'll have to see with how much we do. How much we can do with what we've got. Oh, it was almost a 20. But it rolled onto a 0. Okay, so it's now all down to how well Kano in Bertram's body can sell this. So, Nurse Bravo tries, but at the same time he's trying to reach a very busy mind who's now trying to organize things according to categories of seriousness that he's not entirely used to doing, so Kano is going to be organizing people according to how bad they look. And maybe whether or not one of the nurses sucks the air in over her teeth or something, you know. Their teeth.
Definitely quantity of blood.
What do you think, nurse? So,
Very
give it a go.
cool.
Yeah, bluff it. That's what Vibus does normally, isn't it? It bluffs his way through.
No comment.
Well, you're going to have to make a roll of some sort.
Do I throw a determination of steady hand in this?
Do it.
Oh, go on. One success.
I thought you threw the you're throwing in the
Yeah,
determination.
did you not put a determination?
That didn't roll right. Sorry, let me just ignore that one. Because I didn't click the button.
So it was 15,
I
12,
clicked
and
off
1.
Something else to adjust something.
That'd be 1, 2, 3 successes rather than 4 you had originally. So, okay. And you didn't roll any complications, which was good. So, like I said, Viber's Kano is used to triage of a certain different variety, but it's similar enough that he bluffs it very well. So, not bad. Not bad. How well you did, you're not entirely certain, because the Admiral just does his usual. He tuts a bit, he notes down things on the pad, then just says, "Computer end simulation," and he just walks off. So...
Doctor, that's a lot more stressful than my stuff.
So, these simulations went on for a couple of hours, and you don't know how people have done. Even the captain still seems a bit nervous, I suppose, almost. As
Whilst
composed
this
as
has all
she
been
usually
going
is.
on, can we have asked for Latude to be undertaking like a level 5 diagnostic on the
Yes.
transporter?
Good. Let me take you to the
other
transporter
one-
in a minute.
I'd have asked Latude to do.
Actually, no.
Well, Natala might have asked Latude to do. Is to scan Vibers' body and compare it against the last pattern.
Good. Okay. Then I will ask...
Most likely I can sneak out.
Who hasn't rolled in
Can
a
we-
while?
Can we turn the warp core off as well, Matt?
Oh, yeah,
Loud
the
tonight.
vroom. Let me go back to bridge ambience.
I haven't rolled for a little bit.
Okay, you can be Latude. Who else hasn't rolled in a little bit?
Shaun and Jan, I think.
Who wants to be the ship?
Give it Jan, I was just brother.
Nope, okay, yep. Jan could be the ship. So we're looking to do a thorough scan of the transporter pad. So the computer can assist with this, but let's go with... We're looking at sensors and engineering for the ship. 1 dice, if you could, please, Jan. And then for Latude, it's going to be control and engineering with his focus on transporter operations. I'm going to keep the difficulty to myself.
Ship gets 1.
Not bad for the
Don't
ship.
let us down, Latude.
Who was being Latude again?
Oh,
Max. Cool.
It was the control engineering was that focus
Yes,
of
and the
transport
momentum.
operations.
Yeah, spend a momentum if you want.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, 4 successes. Latude, having been correcting the targeting scanners for the .03 variants that it was out after the Admiral noticed it, Later on, Yas receives the note that can you please have a look at the transporter system, and with the emphasis on comparing before and after transporter scans, as it were. Doing so, Lechute comes across an interesting piece of information. There is an unknown energy detected inside of the matter stream, and it's not entirely clear where that energy came from, but it certainly seems to have caused some strange interference pattern, which could, hypothetically speaking, have been what scrambled the brain patterns, switching them around. So Lechute, being the conscientious worker that he is, will send notice back to folks involved, but will not make a song and dance about it. Will send a surreptitious message, a secure message to those involved that he detected a strange energy inside of the transporter beam that might very well be the culprit. With that in mind, what would you like to do now?
At this point, I'll be going back to the scans and simulations I set running in sickbay after scanning Zeta and seeing if they come up with anything.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to ask for... Where are you? You're in Nova's body. Yeah, even I forgot. So this is going to be an... Insight and medicine, please. I'll let you use the focus of biology, because you're looking at the results of the bioscan from the representative.
2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. When you look at the bioscans, these strange these unknown glands do elicit some interesting data. What's interesting about them is that if these glands were activated, they would apparently release a chemical in the brain that would release a very strong energetic pulse from another part of the representative's biology.
So, right. I'll again surreptitiously let the captain and the relevant people know what I found.
So, anybody who wants to, can, if they've got a suitable focus, maybe run a comparison between the two energy, the suggested waveform that will come out of the representative's biology, compare it to the one that was encountered in the matter stream. So I don't know if anybody reckons that they've got a suitable focus for that.
It would probably either be Nova or Viper's Natala, would it? For that kind of foci?
I'm looking for Nova in the wrong place.
It'd be a good one to keep Nova occupied with, because it'd give us something to purely focus on.
It is an interesting one, because you do have tinkering and inner workings, so it could be suggested that that would be enough to allow Nova to run a comparison. If you think she would, Shaun?
Yeah, can do.
Yep, can do. Cool. So this is going to be... This is going to be insight and science from Nova, please, with either the inner workings or the tinkering focus for you, please. I'm going to make it difficulty 2. Because Nova's pretty smart. 3 successes, 1 over and above what you needed. Running a computer simulation Nova, in Thazanan's body, can produce a theoretical model of the energy pulse that could be released from Representative Zeta's gland, and the energy waveform does look suspiciously very, very similar to that which was detected in the matter stream. That could very well have been what through your swapped your brain imprints, brain energy, mental energy, brain scans. You know what I'm going for. That thing that explains how you think. The brain, Matt. Wow. I'm struggling. Somebody help me.
So, if that's the case, how come the Admiral wasn't affected?
Interesting, yes.
Or was he?
I have a suggestion. I need a security team.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to check into the changeling. Legitimately.
That's actually a good point, yeah, if he's not gone through.
Yeah, because I think Bertram did say that he'd gone by the time he was sort of like doing those tests.
Jude, could you check the Admiral's pattern, please?
Sure. He puts the pattern through. No abnormalities that I can detect. Sorry, Doc.
Then it's blood screening. We have to eliminate that possibility.
Okay, Doc. Who wants to suggest how they're going to get a blood sample off of the Admiral?
Then it just say for standard protocol.
Suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, did we ever retract the mandatory blood screening since the Dominion kicked off?
No, we've never retracted it, so we just state ship-ride regulation rule.
Okay.
The Admiral wouldn't want us to not apply the regulations to him.
Indeed.
So, Doctor, can you just
He would
show
probably
me
mark
how
us down
that-
for the fact that we missed it upon arrival.
Doctor, could you just give me a briefing on how these sample things work again?
Yep, I'll go through. Well, the screening, does that normally need to be done in sickbay, Matt?
Not necessarily, no. It's basically you put a hyperspray against somebody's, well, not a hyperspray, but you put a medical instrument up against somebody's neck. It extracts blood. It goes into a little clear container. You shake it about, and if it doesn't revert to a gelatinous form, and stays as a liquid, as blood, then it's they're not a changeling.
Okay.
I'll go through that with Vibers, show them how to use it.
Yeah, so it's fairly simple. Stick them, drain them, shake it.
Cool. And Commander Nova? Sorry. Fasanan? No, I actually want Nova at this one.
Cool.
Rather in Fasanan's body, because I want a strong-looking security type person who seems to know what they're on about.
Why don't you take the
go
first?
find the Admiral?
Why don't you take the XO with you?
Because that's too much rank for what I'm trying to do.
Not really. It's part of ship protocol, but yeah.
Oh, fair enough. I'll bring the.
Take Edwards with
Edwards,
you. You know, he
with
can
me.
try and see how good he is with a mean right hook.
Do you want me to go with you, just sort of like oversee from the side, just to make sure it's all going all right?
What? Having our operations officer follow along for.
I'm Lieutenant Nova. I have a reputation for being sort of esoteric and getting involved in stuff.
There you have it.
So does our pretend helmsman get involved for no apparent reason?
That's up to Shaun.
Do you want in security, I guess?
Right, let's go find an Admiral.
So 3 people. approach the Admiral as he's walking down a corridor. The Admiral has just come back from the science labs. People would notice that he's just come out of where Lieutenant Minot heads up things, and Minot, who's right by there, is looking a bit deflated after the Admiral comes out. But nonetheless, yes, you can stop him in his tracks. And when you offer... go on.
I apologise for the interruption, but this is standard procedure on this ship, and if we didn't have an incident when you came aboard, it would have been done sooner. So can I have your hand, please?
Oh, of course. He offers out his arm.
Blood sample.
Yep. And, yes, the blood stays as blood. It doesn't revert to any kind of shapeshifter state.
Okay, and take a medical scan, just to be sure. Right, thank you very much, Admiral. Appreciate your time. And wander off.
Very good. On the way back, though, Bertram in Nova's body does have to lean into Kano in Bertram's body. If it's a medical tricorder, you're supposed to wave the little wand thing over them, not wave the tricorder up and down.
Why didn't you nudge me that beforehand? Doesn't it work like that?
Have you never watched me ever do my job?
I mean...
Matt, just checking,
No,
were there
I'm
any
usually
sort
busy.
of changes in that weird mental colour that are being sensed?
No. In fact, you haven't sensed it for a while.
Is that
What would you
by a
like to do
while?
then?
Is that like for, you know, sort of like a while, or literally as we approach the Admiral?
As in, ever since you sent command... Now that you think about it, ever since you sent Representative Zeta back to go to her quarters, you haven't felt that big loud.
What about the whispers? Are they still there?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
They're not quite as distracting as they were because Bertram has been given stuff to do.
Right.
It's when he stops that he's there going, oh, jeez, can you all just be quiet for just 1 minute? Then somebody down in engineering stubs their toe, and it's like, okay, wow, they need to chill a bit. Anyway. And that's when Bertram realizes that he's starting to get the hang of what he thinks these emotions are. Slowly. But, with the knowledge you now have under your belts, what would you like to do now?
Tell Natara not to drink Sori and brandy. The Rail didn't like it.
In fact, I'm going to tell Vibers in Bertram body, don't drink any alcohol while you're in my body. I won't like it.
I'm off to the pub.
My body is a temple.
And it's time for mass.
Death by alcohol.
Okay.
Andrews is going to give Edwards a very strict fitness regime.
Edwards, do you want a burger? There's no minimum.
Eat more carbs, do more press-ups.
With all due respect, I prefer to not do anything that would cause me to end up needing to refresh myself later. I really, to all due respect, I don't want to be put into that situation. I don't really think you want me having trouble making eye contact with you once we're back in our bodies.
In any case, at some point, let me think. Whoever wants to hear it. The Admiral's not currently on the bridge, he's actually elsewhere, making himself, doing what he's doing elsewhere on the ship. And that's when... Security to the bridge? I've just been in to check on Representative Zeta and she's not present in her quarters. Please advise.
Computer, locate Representative Zeta.
Representative Zeta is within the main shuttle bay.
Emergency security lockdown.
Okie dokie.
But
Here's
we've got to do
the,
it discreetly, so the Admiral doesn't know.
Okay, okay.
We
So-
simulate a. Actually, no, I was about to say a breach in the shuttle bay, but no, that's
we
worse.
don't need to do anything like that. All we need to do is just shut down and deactivate the shuttle bay doors.
Oh, we just tell him it's a drill.
Well, no,
can
because he
run
would
our
get
own
suspicious. Why are we doing a
tests.
drill when he's on board? Would we do a drill normally?
Yes.
What would you do
All right.
during testing?
Who wants to try and sell this to him? Bearing in mind it is difficulty 3 to get past his insight.
The captain?
The captain can certainly try, yes, since she's available for your use. Who hasn't?
Burn be the calm center to the storm around you. Although she seems to be the one that's least calm out of the lot of us now.
Well, things
Or
have
expect
been
the best
thrown.
from everyone.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, Webby, have you rolled recently?
Not for a while, I don't think.
So you may as well, since you came up with the idea.
If we're going to sell this as a drill, maybe somebody can insert something in the schedule.
Oh, yep. Yeah, and since you just came up with that, do you wanna have Fazanan try and do that? You know, you're at the science station at the back of the bridge, so that'll be control and security, I reckon.
So this is going to be an assist.
Yes.
Security protocols.
Yep. That would be a good one. Here we are, a good one, already with a success. So now the captain just needs to get 2 successes, and you are good.
Presence and command.
Yeah.
Composure as a foci
Sure.
with burn focus as well.
Okay. Woof! Way to go, Cap. Alright then. So a suitable excuse that's couched in a certain amount of truth, along with Keval's assistance, manages to keep the Admiral satisfied that nothing untoward appears to be going on. Therefore, you are able to lock down the shuttle bay. Alright. Security reports that they are the shuttle bay access, and they are going in now to try and see if they can find the representative. A few tense, silent minutes go by before security to the bridge. We've got the representative. It looks like she was trying to abscond with a shuttle. What are your orders, sir?
Confined quarters, I'd say, Captain. We don't want to rouse suspicion with the Admiral, and then begin a private investigation.
Very well. Security. Give Claude 2 minutes with her. Claude will find the truth.
He just has to sit opposite her.
With a button going.
You
Guess
say
what
that
this
Claude's
button will
going to
do when
press-
Claude presses it.
Hello again,
Saying
Cat.
Claude's going to sit there and press her button.
So, yes, security managed to escort Representative Zeta back to her quarters. I will bring Representative Zeta for the ease of reference. Not necessarily on the bridge, but she's there for whoever wants to question her. So,
Do it as a group for everyone that was on the transporter.
sure, if you want to, but
Let's do
remember
it.
you've got a maximum of 5 dice that you can use, so... Converse!
Bertram's probably actually one of the ones that would probably definitely need to be in there now, because he can pick up baseline emotions. So
Yeah, and I can totally understand them. Yeah, I'll be there to try. I mean,
Well,
it
then
would
it
be a
would-
very Star Trek thing if, ironically, the plot device at the beginning turned out to be a resolution.
All right. So who's getting in on this interrogation? How are they aiding?
Yeah, Ed was in no way try attempt to be tough. As much as Andrews does look tough, he's not going to be able to carry that. So I think it'd be the opposite effect. So
Oh, you're gonna play good cop, and I'll play bad cop.
no. I'll just be out in general. I am not going to be very convincing, regardless.
The cop standing at the door waiting to open it for other people. Right, gotcha.
Who wants to play an overly confident Natara that thinks she can do everything?
Go on. What's the
Natara's
suggestion?
sitting there with all the confidence of a Trill symbiont pumped into without the practice of keeping it under control.
Okay.
Natara tries to help everybody and run stuff already. So, if you're after somebody who needs to show a lot of confidence and needs to get to the bottom of it, that might be a good call.
Yeah, she has got mum figure. Oh, that's not like ship's mum, hasn't she?
Yep.
Ship's mum turned up to 11, turns it to ship's headmistress.
Oh God.
Or
All right, then.
matron. It's
I was
Sounds good to
thinking
me.
matron. I was like, please
Matron.
don't say it. Because like, matron.
So
That sounds like a volunteer to play it.
No.
Representative Zeta will go on. Ooh. That.
I'm quite happy to go and play strongman, and also as the XO, I'd probably be my position where I should be, even if I'm not actively taking part.
I didn't roll terribly well, so that's what you're up against. That's the difficulty of what you're trying to. That's the difficulty number that you'll be trying to overcome. 2. As the representative tries to remain unflapped by everything that's going on. Yes, hello. Can I help you, Cat? You obviously seem to think I can. So who's getting involved in this? So Viber's, Natala is with the Viber's symbiont is going to be. So what I would suggest you do there is spend 2 momentum to create an advantage, representing the fact that Natala now has all these, this symbiont's lifetimes of confidence, which will lower the difficulty down to 1.
I'm fine with spending the momentum.
Yeah.
Down to difficulty 1.
Sounds
Cool.
good.
So 8 lifetimes, or whatever it is, of confidence. Nice. You know.
I wish it was 8. I'd be so much more interested if randomly
I don't know why I picked 8. There we go.
I need to start getting unknown hosts that got wiped from history.
Their deeds were so terrible they were erased.
Well, we've got a cat playing the part of Zeta today.
Looks like. In any case, right then. So, if anybody wants to add their own presence and command, or presence and security, or insight and science, if maybe Nova wants to get involved and offer up her insight into the fact that she linked the gland's energy discharge with the energy that was found in the transporter.
Yep.
That would
Good with
probably help.
Did we establish if Latude's in there? Because I think he should be there.
If you think Lachute should be in there to offer his two pennies worth as well, then that's fine. Insight and engineering in his regard, then, in that case.
That's Bertram picking up on it. So there's also then there's actual Fazanan Nova for the energy pattern. That's 2. Latude's 3. Natala
then
was just creating
Natala
the
is-
advantage, wasn't she? Oh yeah, the
attention.
talent would be like primary. Yeah, so yeah, 2 die. Yeah.
So Shaun, if you could give us an insight and what was it? Insight and science, please, for Nova. Presenting the science of what she found. Very nice. Awesome. Good. So Bertram going from the medical side of it, Nova creating the bridge between pardon me, Bertram and who comes next, which would be Lechude. Who wants to be Lechude? Yeah, and you had the idea for Lechude, you be Lechude.
I'm really tempted to burn my commanding officer talent so that Lechude automatically rolls, but he doesn't have determination. So I'd spend it on Natala.
Okay.
So Lechude.
Insight and engineering for him, please.
Yeah. The engineering angle, so transport operations focus.
Yes, please. All right, 1 success there too. So far, so very, very good. So you've got over and above what you needed by quite the amount. So now it's down to how much of a success you can get from Natala using.
It's that one that I'd be using. Sorry.
Right. So you can.
So one of Natala's die would automatically be a 1.
Cool. All right then, Davis. Since you had the idea, you may as well be Natala.
Right, in which case, as Natara, what am I rolling? What am I rolling? Brains.
Thank you, Gad. Needy little so-and-so I got here. So, insight and science, or insight and command actually could be just as good.
Okay.
Since she's using her confidence.
Yep. And I'm doing this as mum of the I can't use
Somebody fetch the cat, please.
Go.
No, I'm not fetching the cat.
Sorry, but he's being a pest again, and I need him stricken. Thank you. 3 successes. Very nice. Whopping great big success overall there. Everybody using basically what they found, hard evidence, and the confidence of being able to deliver it in such a way that's basically leave no wiggle room whatsoever. So even though the representative is obviously a practiced diplomat and therefore is practiced with verbally fighting her corner, as it were, the sheer amount of force and evidence you bring to the fore is way too much. Bertram in Nova's body definitely gets the big waft of the emotion again coming directly, very much from the representative, which you realise was anxiety this whole time. It was a big burst of anxious fear. So interesting. So yes, it doesn't take you guys long to break Representative Zeta. Excuse me, I've still got an itchy nose. And you get the full story out of her. So, my people may not be entirely ready. Some factions think they are. Some factions within my people are all too eager to embrace this new wonderful life amongst the stars. But some of us think it is too fast, too quick, that this is going on, and that my people need more time. That we don't know we can trust all of you aliens. What if all you want really is just our resources, and you're only playing nice to get what you want? So,
But take the time, you daffodil.
I came up with a plan. I was going to use our known ability to emit an energy that can shift the brain patterns of others, particularly when used through devices like your transporter. I wasn't prepared for so many minds being present on the transporter pad. I was of the opinion that the Admiral and myself would be beamed up by ourselves, and then you would follow, but then you all beamed together, and, well, what I tried didn't work. The Admiral stayed in his head, I stayed in my head, and all of you got switched around instead. All I was going to do was just to make the Admiral make a fool of himself and spoil the whole conference, and then it would give my people the excuse they needed to pull out of membership of the Federation for a time, whilst myself and the others, who believe that this is all too much too fast with too many creatures that we don't understand, we could be given the time to make our case to our Parliament, and therefore we wouldn't have to join the Federation. But now it's come to all of this, and the situation has just become extremely regrettable. I admit my culpability in this regard. So, now knowing what you know, what do you suggest is the course of action that you would wish to take?
Well, I would say that we'd have to report this to her to her people, and they decide on what they wish for it to happen in the conference.
Okay.
Would be my suggestion, but yeah,
The rest of you?
I'm fully open to suggestions on this.
Bertram's concern is how difficult will it be to put our minds back in their proper bodies?
Good point. The representative reckons that since it was, in her experience, swapping them back around can be done by the emission of the same energy, but this time, with fewer people on the transporter pad, she can actually control it. So if two people who are actively sharing bodies can get on the transporter, they can be swapped around. But of course, the difficulty there being that Nova's in Thazanan's body, and going back to her body would mean that Bertram would need to go back into his body, which means that Vibers would need to get into hers. So it'll take a bit of doing, but Representative Zeta reckons that she can undo what she's done.
Okay, just on that one, it probably makes sense to make Kano be the person passed around, because they're the one who can actually cope best with other people's memories and
Interesting
body swapping,
thoughts,
'cause
yeah.
It's very similar to the host joining experience.
And therefore would have the mental capacity to deal with it, yeah.
Yeah. Less
Do we need
trauma
to
than
pass him
everyone
around
else.
though?
You're gonna have to. It's just the way things have people been swapped.
Andrews and Edward can do a direct swap. So...
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
So could Natala and Vibers. Oh no, because Vibers isn't in.
No.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Vibers would probably be a good point. I'd probably suggest that Nova is swapped first.
All right.
So the Doc may end up having to go into
Miles' body.
Keval's body. Yep.
Yeah.
And then we can start playing tennis to try and swap.
All right. I require no rolls from this. You've already discerned the means by which you're going to do it. So it
Doctor,
takes
do not be
points.
alarmed. Do not be
Go on.
alarmed at the muscles.
I'm more alarmed. Why does every body I go to have some sort of blade on them?
I don't. Unless
I don't think I've been in your
commanders-
You
body.
do now.
unless the commander's Gado's one.
Because I haven't been in your
You're
body or Andrew's body.
You're armed for the first time in ages.
I don't like having too many weapons.
Because when I'm in for Keval's body, I go, Wow. I see it all now. Everything in the universe comes down to expert piloting. It's as simple as that. Oh, and micro-torpedoes as well.
Congratulations, little grasshopper. A Wizenteak.
So, yes, the body swap goes off without a hitch, thankfully, because you've already put in all the work necessary to find out the particulars, and you've managed to persuade, by overwhelming successes, the representative to see your way. So, yes, Nova is one of the first who gets swapped back into her body, and it is a direct success. The brain stimulator will need to be, of course, disengaged before Thazanan gets his body back. But that's no problem. Kano, why is there duct tape on my moss capsules?
They were escaping, they deserved it.
You don't need to tie them in, you just need to stroke them and hum to them on a certain frequency and they calm down, that's fine.
Kano needs to
know
get
what
to
I'm
learn
doing,
these
and I
moss behaviours
know.
better. It's my recommendation when he works in engineering down in the Warp Core, he takes the Enerdrainian moss with him to get used to them. What could go wrong?
There is a new moss lecture on your computer.
How moth eroded my brain.
Look at all
It's
these
called
spelling
moss-
errors.
It's got bad spelling errors. It's written in partially in Trill, and it's mostly about how to contain moss with duct tape.
I sent a message to Andrews recommending that Vibers spend some time isolated and quarantined in sick bay, as he's clearly come down with some brain attacking disease causing him to get grand delusions.
Response to Andrews on the query. I'm sorry, it was Bertram's brain. It caused weird side effects.
Well, sometime later, after everybody is safely put back in their own bodies and people report back to their regular stations and are really happy about being back in familiar places, as it were. The representative has been confined to quarters, and the message has been sent out to the Zondarans to say about what happened. So, the Federation's diplomatic corps are going to have an interesting time with this. But nevertheless, that's now no longer your immediate concern. That's for the diplomats to sort out. You are now set to basically continue on to where you were going, which was Janus 6, whereby rather than attending a conference, you'll be dropping off the representatives at Zeta in order to be handed over to security forces so she can be shipped back to her people. Yes, quite. So, yes, that leaves the Admiral. The Admiral eventually finishes doing his rounds all over the ship. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze.
That's you.
Meanwhile, I reckon, Andrews, you need to send a report back confirming what happened to us. Make sure that they know that we did inform the Admiral.
And Admiral Hardin comes in and walks onto the bridge with his pad. And, yes. Well, I must say, Captain, Commander, things are not entirely as were to be expected of the crew of the Navis. And indeed, there were a number of shortfalls in a number of different departments. At which point the captain slams her fists down on her captain's chair and just jumps up to her feet. Admiral, we have just proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that Representative Zeta was the one responsible for this body swap, which you apparently were completely against hearing our protests. Who would make up something this stupid? Especially when we're being graded on our performance. My people have done their utmost and have triumphed spectacularly under the circumstances. One of my crew members was robbed of one of her primary senses, I'm amazed she managed to function at all, and yet she did. I quite frankly find your attitude to my people entirely insulting, and I would challenge any of the downgrades that you're giving my people any day of the week. In fact, I am prepared to take this to the Admiralty if I need to. You don't come here and insult my people like this. Quite frankly, these are some of the best people you will ever find. Are they conventional? No. But that's why they're here. That's why I gave them these postings, because I believed this was where they belonged. And this was where these people could do the most good. And they have proven that they are capable, time and time and time again. Yet you come here seeing us on an off day and think that this is representative of how we are on a regular basis? You're looking at one bad day. That's it. The rest stands for itself. Just look at how well Commander Andrews did when I was missing for 15 weeks. And she just stops there, panting. She's obviously been holding this in for quite some time. The Admiral nods, presses a button on his pad, which seems to turn it off, at which point he puts the pad and his hands behind his back. Impressive, Captain. In fact, I have something of a confession to make. I did not actually come here to assess your crew's capabilities. I, in fact, came to assess two very specific people in order to see if they're qualified at all for a new job, a new posting. And I'm happy to say that they've both passed. As such, it is my duty to inform you, Captain Adriana Ducasse and Commander Sophia Andrews, that you have graded very well. And I will be taking it to the Admiralty that you should both be promoted immediately. Congratulations, Admiral Adriana Ducasse and Captain Sophia Andrews. And he holds out his hand to shake former Captain Ducasse's hand. She's struck. She just stands there with her mouth opening and closing and no actual words coming out. Keval claps his hands. And the Admiral goes over and holds out his hand for Andrews to shake. 3 cheers for the Admiral.
I think similarly, Andrews will be slightly in shock at the actual thing, because she refused it previously and now she's being forced into the role, but at the same time grateful.
Now, the paperwork, as it were, I have with me here, and the Admiral holds up the pad. It is my duty to inform you that after some consideration, the Admiralty has decided that Captain Ducasse will be given the rank of Rear Admiral Lower Half and posted to Starbase 395 on the Tamarian border in order to continue dialogue with the Tamarians. And as much as we considered a different posting, as is usually traditional with a new captain rank, it has been decided by the Admiralty that since you fared so well in your posting aboard the Navis as temporary captain, that you should be allowed to remain on board, but this time as the Navis's commanding officer. Congratulations, Captain Andrews. Tricks on the captain. Hip hip. Hooray! Now this does mean... Sorry, go on.
Huzzah.
Huzzah.
I think yes, Mr. Minoko will be informed that. So Andrews will ask Natala and say, "So, where's the blood wine stored?"
Natala?
Ooh, low blow.
Well,
No,
let me see.
no, don't.
Just hearing it from Vibus is just sort of like this.
Vibus will disappear off to Mr. Minoko and get him to shift it to a different hiding place.
Surreptitiously remove it somewhere that hasn't been tried yet.
Blood wine's fine. The rest of the stash that's hiding behind the barrels, I want to make sure it's good.
Now, a little time later, after celebrations have been had, comes the time when folks are going to have to be diverted to their new postings. As such, Captain Ducasse, captain no longer, has to sign off her captaincy, transferring command from herself to Sophia Andrews. And as she has you all assembled there on the bridge, she stands in front of everybody. I'd like to say that everything that you have managed to accomplish was in some small way assisted by myself, because ultimately the responsibility of any commanding officer is to try and shape their junior officers to make them ready to become senior officers themselves. But in this regard, I think the only credit I can fully give myself in regards to all of you was that I originally set out with the intention of creating a ship full of out-of-the-box thinkers. And in that regard, I succeeded. This ship has become one of the most talked about vessels in the entirety of Starfleet, for better or worse. I like to think for better. But the majority of what you have accomplished was all your own doing. All I did was sit back and allow my children the opportunity to spread their own wings, to discover their own strengths, to go their own ways whilst still adhering to the tenets, I hope, of Starfleet. But the time has come now where I must actually leave you to conduct your own journeys as I go now to conduct my own. So let me just say that it has been, throughout all the ups and downs, my absolute honor and privilege to have been your captain for the short time that I have been. And that you are in good hands from here on. Good luck.
Sorry, Admiral, it has been a true honor. And perhaps this is more of a turning of a page rather than the closing of a book. And that hopefully we will all continue to learn from the experiences that you provided to us.
Ducasse just smiles at this and gives Andrews a nod. The ship is yours, Captain, she says, as she starts moving towards the turbo lift to disembark. At which point, Ensign Kirst stands up, clasps her hands behind her back at attention. Ensign Keshen stands up, clasps his hands behind his back at attention, regarding, and turns to face Ducasse. Claude does the same.
bangs his head on the ceiling as he stands at attention.
He stands that straight. He's just like not used to it.
Bang!
Why are you making? Why you not make bridges that are right size for normal sized people like Claude?
So,
Just the same, and the engine. If once they open the door, the engineering staff have turned up in that corridor, all in at attention, lining the corridor.
lining the way to the transporter.
Mm-hmm. I think the
I'm
entire
assuming
crew.
everyone else departments have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrews will follow the Admiral to make sure that Latude it gives the words.
Wow, she keeps her composure. Well done, Dugas.
Andrews will follow to make sure that she ensures that the Admiral has a safe trip on her new adventure, etc.
Mhm.
And again, we'll state more privately that she owes a lot to Dugas for believing for her and helping her recover from what she's been through.
Dugas offers that it was Andrew's strength that helped her just as much. Permission to disembark, Captain. As Dugas stands on the transporter pad, alone.
Permission granted, Admiral.
Mr. Latude, you may energize. And that's where I would like to officially, at the very least, end our episode. The culprit was found, the body swap was reversed, and all the hilarity that ensued. But, yes, Captain Dugas has finally been given her promotion to Admiral, and it's been a long time in coming. But likewise, First Officer Commander Sophia Andrews has now been made Captain Andrews of the Navis. So, yay. And like the shapeshifter she is, whoosh! Her appearance immediately changes.
Out of uniform.
If you double click on the token, it still has the original art.
So Matt, what you're saying is, first episode in, and the season for intro is already inaccurate.
Yes, unfortunately so. Not the least of which is because John decided to part company with us, and therefore we have to find what happens up to Lieutenant Commander Natala. But in all likelihood, Natala is probably going to be semi-retired to Narendra Station, I think. That makes the most sense to me, but of course this is also your game, not just mine, so if you think that Natala should remain with the Navis for a while, or if she gets a posting somewhere else, or whatever you want.
I think it'd be worthwhile seeing what John would like.
Yeah, okay,
Because
well...
there's benefits, if Natala does retire to Narendra Station, it's a nice closing of the kind of bit that she's still there. She's still available to offer advice, etc., but she's now more focused on her family. Or if she stays with the Navis, then she'll continue in the position that she's been in to date.
So the Narendra Station posting seems for the moment to make the most sense.
It does, especially with the... You just threw me in a body with all sorts of other brains in it. I don't want to be... I want time to recover and get away from that for a bit.
Which makes sense. So, now Nova has to deal with the fact that Andrews is the captain.
Oh, there's a lot of respect recently between Andrews and Nova. Andrews' attitude has changed dramatically, or she tries to hope that's the case.
This does mean you've got 3 choices to make your first officer.
Yes. First and second officers need to be thought of now. Who's going to get the posting of first officer? Who's going to get the posting of second officer? Who's going to replace Natala on science? Well, I'm afraid we're probably going to have to find that out some other time. Give myself and the guys time enough to actually figure it out ourselves, how we feel it's going to go. Any recommendations folks who've been watching think that would be a good idea to go with? Feel free to give us a posting and we'll see what we don't think is agreeable. Claude votes for Claude because... Of course he would.
And Andrew's votes for Claw as well, but you know, you can't have him jumping that far up.
So, yes, unfortunately, our illustrious Gareth needs to remake the intro sequence again, because there's been some changes in the ranks now, but well-deserved ones. So... We'll get onto that.
Now I can beef up that combat scene to be smoother.
I don't know, that kind of jank that the Navis does and then janks back into it is kind of very much like that high octane piloting you come to expect from Thazan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ducking and dodging.
I couldn't make it accurate to the Navis because there's no micro torpedo thing I can find on the shuttlecraft. And unfortunately, the photon torpedoes don't charge up fast enough to actually be going out in barrages accurate to the way we normally fire them.
Nevertheless, we greatly appreciate the effort you went to.
I know.
You need the skills. Tactical officers should help reduce cooldowns.
No,
But that's about Star Trek Online, so...
I'm a doctor, not a battle person.
Not a tactician.
In any
doctor,
case.
not a vocabularist.
In any case, thanks to everybody who tuned into the stream. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, because, you know, I got to admit, I was giggling to myself an awful lot when I was putting this together, because I really wanted to see what people would do. But in the end, ultimately, yes, the important part was the end transition for the promotion that's been a long time in coming. So, new captain and a new command structure to see if we can work out, as well as new adventures to come. So, for those who have been following us on the stream, thank you for following us this far. We are now we're now at the end of our first episode of our third season. Going into it, what will we find? Well, we'll have to tune in, stay tuned, and find out. And in the meantime, I wish you all to very much live long and prosper, and to definitely do like the Vulcans do, and no, I don't mean hit people with a Lirpa, I mean to actually go with infinite variety and infinite combinations in as many ways that you possibly can. And to remember to look after each other, be kind to one another, and to ultimately...
live long
what
and
was I going to
prosper?
say? What was that, sorry?
And live long and prosper?
Well, yes, live long and prosper, but also if you enjoyed this, feel free to give us a like when you're on YouTube to help not only ourselves, but everybody else who does actual plays, and Star Trek related stuff also. Gives us a boost to our Lord and Master, the algorithm. All hail the algorithm.
All hail.
And we will see when we see you next, which will probably not be next Tuesday, because our Helm officer is needing to relocate himself. So we will hopefully be with you on the 8th of August. It is August, right? We're currently in July, aren't we? So it's going to be the 8th of August. So we won't. Our next episode will not be with you next week. It'll be with you the week after. So make sure to tune in when we do go live again next time. In the meantime, see you guys later as we close our hailing frequencies. Bye-bye.